honorable brother, the revolutionary yourself, Darius Lockhart, and I'm here to tell you to watch Power Bombshells every Sunday at 1 p.m. Eastern on the Fight Game Media YouTube channel. That's right, every Sunday at 1 p.m., and that's on time, every time, because when we stand together, what time is it? That's right, it's nation time.
You are muted, I think, Mel.
Welcome to Power Bombshells. It's perfect. It's episode 160. I'm Mel. That's Sam. We are just two broads talking about the wrestling we watch, and I'm going to bury Microsoft heavily after I ask Sam how she's doing. How you doing, Sam?
Apparently, I am doing better than you are because my computer, for knock on wood, is not the one trying to cause issues today.
It's been a week, okay? And then Microsoft decides a half an hour before the show, oh, well, you've put off our thingy that we tell you don't have enough space for, but you know you have enough space for long enough, so now we're going to download it. Like, oh, great. That means I don't have to fix everything, of course, because as all you Microsoft users know for years and years, Microsoft sucks. Yeah. Yep. It's provided years of hilarious content for podcasters and live streamers alike. So that's the one thing Microsoft does do for all of us. It gives us hours and hours of shit talking of Microsoft, because get your shit together for finally and all. Like every time it updates, it messes everything up. And it's like, want to restore your pages? I'm like, sure. Oh, it's not in the right studio now. What the hell? And Nikki,
apparently Mel and I were in two different studios today,
but
and
I thought studio. So we were in two different dimensions in the same studio, but in
I got here and I waited a few minutes because I was like, oh, she might be just doing something, or maybe the dog, something happened to the dog. And then I asked her, I sent her a message, and I was like, is everything okay? And she was like, I'm in the room. And I was like, well, I apparently am in the room by myself. And yeah, I guess we were in different Microsoft dimensions or something. Some stuff. So finally we've merged together. We are in the same space at the same time. All of space and time. Like,
and hey, Nikki, I do have some purple in the hat because it's got all kinds of colors. So and I consider this here, I like the primary color is kind of a shade of purple. It's like indigo or
close enough.
Violet, lavender.
It was not a green beret nor a raspberry beret.
No, but it does have many, many colors in it. And so that's my mother-in-law. I love this. She's even getting in on it. She's like, I know you wear hats a lot.
Yeah.
For our friends. See, some of it is like, there's like neons in it.
Uh-huh.
So it's a very fun hat. And it's also very
fun hat.
It's just the right level of warm for this time of year. So
perfect.
It's one of those things. So the hat made me feel better than Microsoft, but I'm here with you now. So
yes, iMcBeat says that they use a Windows laptop for work and they know the struggle, but they prefer a Mac though. Yeah, I'm on a Mac. And
well, see, the thing is like I am a gamer and PCs are better for that. So at the end of the day, it's sort of like I have to sort of take that. It's, good with the bad sort of stuff. Yeah, but I worked for years at the soccer company for almost 7 years. We all worked on Macs because they were based in the Bay Area. So they just gave us Macs to work on. So I know how to, and I mean, the first PCs I was on as a kid were Macs.
Yeah.
So it's not like I wasn't or Apples. I mean, they were pre-Mac. They were Apple. I'm that old. I'm Apple IIe or 2C years old. I'm Oregon Trail. Say it funny.
I'm Oregon Trail old as well.
I'm Oregon Trail.
A friend of mine was playing it the other day. I don't know what she downloaded to play it.
There's you'll love this. There's an app for phones and devices and stuff.
That's what I wondered. Yeah, she was playing it on her laptop 2 days ago.
Yep, you can play it now. I actually was very excited. It's a little upgraded, I think. But they actually kept a lot of the stuff in there that actually taught us to problem solve. So
yeah,
because nobody wants your whole party dying of dysentery.
Oh, she, I think, died of dysentery and cholera. No, dysentery and typhoid. I think they got cholera, but then died of dysentery and cholera, I believe.
Oh, nice. And then, of course, there's that horrible, oops, your whole thing had to cross the river. And
yes,
you rolled a 1. So, that sort of thing. That's kind of how I felt today. But actually not really, because I actually got to see some live indie wrestling last night. CCW was in my town. So we had a lot of fun. And we had that WWE ID match with Sam Holloway is definitely working at the PC.
Yeah.
Go.
Yeah.
And I found out last night he actually has been there for a bit. So
okay.
He comes out of Ohio, which around here is like Boston versus New York. Ohio sucks chant, which I was like, is that? Yep, definitely. So, I think it's the equivalent to see with New Englanders. What happens with us when we get around New Yorkers is we just start chanting Yankees suck.
Right.
That's just our go-to. It's so funny. We hit him in the baseballs.
Yeah, as you should.
Great. I figured you'd appreciate that.
I did appreciate that. Excuse me. So I apologize.
Are you getting breaking? I feel like when you're looking down, it's like, is
no, I'm not getting breaking. No, I was actually
getting it's like, are you getting IRL breaking news?
No, I was actually just texting Nikki because I was telling her that apparently the Kleenex that I did have in here this morning, I used and forgot to replace it, and I can't find my mini Kleenex. My allergies are really bad, and I was just about to apologize for sniffling because I have taken my allergy medicine today, and I already have to take 2 capsules every day because I'm allergic to 3 grasses, but the pollen has been unbearable this year, and so I keep sniffling, even though I did take medicine and things like that. But I was just looking, and I was like, man, I hope I don't sneeze on air because that's what I was looking for. And so I was just texting Nikki, and I was like, I don't think I have Kleenex, and I don't know where I think my mini Kleenex is probably in a small purse, probably in a wristlet, because I probably took it somewhere, and now I can't find it. I thought it was on my desk, but so that's if you see me looking around, that's what I was looking for. Was Kleenex.
I have so much empathy for you, Bob. It is same. I mean, my poor husband. My sister was like that, and I have it too, but it's not as bad as.
No, this is the worst. I think this is the worst I've ever had it.
And he's taken everything, but it's been like 9.7 here, even though it hasn't been hot. Like it's been 50 and 60, maybe. It hasn't. It barely it crept towards 60 yesterday.
It's rained multiple times in the last 2 weeks, and it's helped a little bit to kind of cleanse it out, but it's really, really bad.
But it doesn't because the water actually holds the pollen, so it's really horrible.
And I was reading something the other day because apparently the pollen is also really bad in Georgia, and they were saying that that's what happens when you plant all male trees. So apparently somebody did not consult an arborist before they started planting out their cities and stuff, and they were planting all male trees instead of male and female, and that's what has contributed to the pollen being so bad, is because somebody didn't do their job correctly. And now we're all suffering.
I not only know one arborist, I know 2, and one of them is my backyard neighbor.
Oh, perfect.
When his tree branch fell in our yard, we get all our firewood from our neighbor's tree branches falling in our yard, and they come over and cut it up. And he has all his stuff. But I was chatting with him because I'm a nerd, as you all know. And so the power company came out because they have not the power company directly. They farm it out to somebody, and they sent these people out, and literally they just killed his trees. Like they just cut. They're just contractors, so they're a bunch of big dummies. And he was like, "Don't do it like this, do it like that." And they were like, "Nope, this is what the city told us." And so he put up. I love him. He put up signs.
Wow.
And he said, "Trees murdered," and he named the company by this company, and they were all over his yard. Actually, I'm sure it was his wife, to be perfectly honest. But it doesn't matter. I love them for that, because we were walking by one day, and I was like, "What happened to their trees?" And then I saw the signs, and I was like, "Good on them," because it was like one of these things that's governmentally out of their hands, even though those trees are on their land. And he was like, "You can do it in a healthy way."
Right.
He's like, all you have to do is and they're like, no, because what they do is they come around every 3 years and do their job. air quotes there for anyone who might be listening to this and not watching the feed. But and you probably heard them in my voice. But anyway, they just do it every 3 years. They come out and cut the tree branches like they're supposed to, and that's it. And then they go away, and they don't care about the ramifications for our neighborhood. And usually, like, our town has pretty strict rules about that. So, and that stopped, which lets me know that my town council got involved because they were like, we don't care. Read our town ordinances. We have a whole thing in our town ordinances that's been going on for a long time that's funded by the people that lived here for years. It's like a trust that has every 2 years they come around and plant native trees that in missing places.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
So we're pretty serious here. We don't mess around. Don't mess with it. Stop. Just stop. Stop screwing up the... Humans need to go back to their literal roots, I think.
Right.
Hug your planet for real.
Yes. Maria is here, and I was going to tell you that she said that you have the best taste for hats that she's ever seen.
Thank you. A lot of them I'm starting to get gifted to me, which is even cooler because everyone liked my hat thing so much.
Speaking of gifting, Daza said he could send you a Barnsley Football Club hat.
Oh, that'd be sweet. Listen, I would never ever ask anyone to do that. I just feel like it's really cool that people have started giving me hats on top of me. Like, I find them in like the end of the season sales, and I find them at I've got a bunch. We went thrifting.
Oh, nice.
Yes.
That's
Bob,
the best way to find stuff.
Bob switched jobs because one job ended in March. That's been kind of what's been going on. It's been a little crazy, and I've not been as wrestling oriented. But now he's going to be he's a licensed insurance agent now. And so we get to control how we do our business around here. And we get to sponsor the wrestling event. And it all went to charity and rescue animals, which you and I both love. So all the proceeds from everything went to charity, which, once again, for those of you who are new, we have a building in my town that if it all goes to charity, you get to use the building for free. It's called the Civic Auditorium here in Richmond. So it's great. And it was a lot of fun, and it was a lot of volunteer help. And you know me, I can't stand around and not help. So.
Looks like we have someone in the chat who has made an appearance. And looks like the Spider has returned to Power Bombshells, and the American Underdog has something to say. So if you would like to, obviously, I will to let you know ahead of time, our chat is on a delay. And so it may pop up for you guys before it pops up for us. And so we will wait to see what the Spider has to say.
And the Spider's he's hanging out with his buddies this weekend, but so he wasn't there today or last night. Some of his potential rivals may have run around there.
Oh.
And my favorite, love to hate New Albania. Yes, that's the thing. Andre Kobashi won the Richmond Cup last night.
Oh, nice.
So he now has our cup, which, I mean, they're heels, so
right.
But also, like, part of me was like, that's kind of cool. I love those guys. I love hating them.
That'll make things more interesting, though.
Oh,
for sure.
It was really great. This town is so great. We're 6 years on Tuesday. Will be our house birthday. So it's pretty exciting.
Oh,
and now we're going to be members of the community.
Fantastic. So the Spider wishes to come on our show to explain why he wasn't booked for last night's show.
See, I knew there were more shenanigans involved. Okay. We have discussed this, and Sam and I have talked about it too.
Yes, we definitely need to have the Spider come on and talk about that for sure.
Plus, they've got their anniversary show coming up, and they start at the New Baltimore it's a sports arena. We'll share their stuff. I've got them. They're on the Instas.
Yeah, and every time, if you follow us on Twitter still, I will retweet. Anytime I see their stuff come up, I will retweet it, I post it. And I try to post it on our Insta story as well. So we definitely try to post what they're doing on our social media so that you know what's going on with CCW. And
it's my
we definitely would love to have you come back on and talk about why you were not there last night, because it clearly sounds like something is afoot.
There's a lot going on at CCW right now. There's Mission Smith has turned heel on everyone. It's terrible. There's a lot. It's it's very overwhelming. Also, the Schroeder boys, the 2 16-year-old kids that are in our promotion. Oh my God, Sam. These kids own the ring. Lovely.
Book it. A Firestorm of Rage is about to be
unleashed.
I am ready for it. We will definitely get that booked and get you on here to talk about that because I am ready for this rage to be unleashed.
And you can watch it on the YouTubes because Paul's posting a lot of it, right? Yes. It's about a week delayed, just like Darius. Paul is also a man who wears many hats. So he and his crew do similar. Because like we know, indie wrestling is it's a love. You have to love it.
It's a labor of love. There's a lot that goes on. A lot of the people wear many, many hats.
Many. Just like me, but I wear hats and don't do the work.
She wears them literally. They wear them figuratively and maybe literally as well.
Some do. You know what I love about CCW most though is that there's always kids and young people there cheering, having fun. The heels interact with them great. It is a family promotion. There's a lot of veterans, older veterans that come in that enjoy it. It's a really fun cross section of people, and that's something I really enjoy. And yeah, you know me and Sam, we love indie wrestling.
We do.
Nothing makes you feel better than like seeing the inner workings, because it's like these people are going to make their way to what we're going to talk about someday.
Yes,
potentially. And
exactly.
Like you, one of the matches.
I was going to say, even next week's show is going to be a lot about the indie wrestling we're going to watch this week for all the shows that are going on around WrestleMania. That is something that Mel and I both watch, and it's something I've been doing for the last few years. And Mel started, if you missed it before, Mel, when we first started this show, Mel tallied like all of matches, the number of matches I watched, plus the number of hours I watched of indie wrestling. And now this year will be obviously a little bit different because I do for Wrestling Inc. I do cover WWE, so I will be doing some of that as well. I'll have to cover SmackDown on Friday, so I'll kind of cut into some stuff. And then Collision is on Thursday this week. It's Thunder Thursday Collision, as I keep referring to it as. So that might change things a little bit too, but it'll still be interesting. So on Sunday, come back and watch. We know it's a holiday if you can't come live. We totally get it. You can come watch on a replay.
Gosh, Easter and Passover.
Yes. Okay, so the Spider says that the Spider was the talk of Chicago yesterday. New Baltimore is next.
That is awesome. I will. Yeah, we're going to hit some more of those shows, and they're going to be weekly again. They're moving closer to my house. So that's better.
Even better.
I mean, it was the town over before, but it's still the town over, but closer. So I love it. It's much quicker, much more. It was a place that I noticed just because of my background. I was like, oh, it's a little center like we used to work in, and it's great. It's so cool to see indie wrestling coming back around the area. Some of the people, I didn't know this, but Sam Holloway was he did some Evolve Time back in the day. So
I think I remember hearing something about that.
I realized, I was like, I swear I probably saw this guy back at at somewhere or something. But again, you can tell that he spent time at the PC. Like you could tell. There's some things that are very distinctive about it that that. I mean, as soon as he was like hitting the ropes a certain speed, I was like, we all know it is what it is. We start somewhere and we expand our interest. But that's cool too. Like I said, there's a lot of. At one point, I was listening to some planning of matches, and at one point, heard someone say like full on Adam Page version of that, and I was like, head up, ears up, because no one else in the room knows what they're talking about. But I'm like, it's always fun to know, like, they're nerds too. Like the guys that work on the inside are also nerds, just like us.
Right. The Spider says the door has been opened, the monster is loose, and he will see us real soon.
Nice.
Yes.
Look at that. Cutting promos from afar.
Yeah.
This guy is good. He's good people.
Yes, I'm very excited to have the Spider back on our show. And if you haven't seen it, we have talked about it before, and I don't know if we still have the thing about the bottom, but the Spider has a really cool documentary that's up on YouTube. And I don't know if we still have the link for it here in our little
I don't
thingies
have a
that we
link
pop
for it
up,
here, but I'm on
sure,
his channel.
But we will make sure to post it to our social media this week. Again, so that if you missed it the first time, you can take a look at that because it's a really cool documentary. And it's not super long, but it has a ton of great information about who the Spider is and about the Spider's story. So before the Spider makes their return on screen, we will make sure that we get that posted so that you guys can try to check that out.
And I believe that there is also I heard a rumor that there was also some new upcoming fun reenactments of certain movie scenes coming.
Interesting.
On that channel. So that I think people in this channel would people like Brad and Daza would greatly appreciate. That's all I'm going to say.
That sounds very cool.
So we have just the right friends for these sorts of things.
Yeah, definitely. So and while we're on the subject of wrestling coming up this week, we'll retweet the links, but Ashe, starting tomorrow, you can buy the link to their show on Thursday. It's at 11 a.m. local time, is when the show is for them. So we will definitely post the link. And as we mentioned last week, I think it's $15 to stream that show. And it should be a really, really good show. Unfortunately, they had announced a really amazing match that I was really looking forward to. They had announced Leon Slater versus ACH. But then something has happened and something came up, and for whatever reason, ACH is no longer available. But they have, we are getting a new match now. And why did I just blank on who Leon Slater is facing? He's facing, I keep wanting to say Kenny King, but Kenny King was announced for the 5-on-5 match because there's a Darius Lockhart versus Darius Carter match, and he was announced for that one. And I just blanked on who is facing Leon, and it's going to be really good though. And I completely blanked on who it was, but regardless, we'll let you know when those links are up, so that if you want to check out the Ashe show.
Yeah, I don't remember everything, but I know that show looks really fun. And
yes,
I can't.
They're doing Vegas. One of the things I'm looking forward to is the Hattori battle, which is basically their big meaty men match, and it's named for Big E. I can't wait for that match. And so I was trying to see if I could find real quick. I keep seeing the stuff about the 10-man match. I was going to try to find it real quick. Who was? Oh
my God, Jeff! Facing. Really? You came here just to mess with us, didn't you?
Jeff, I am going to ban you in like 2 seconds.
He was waiting all week to do that, I bet.
Yes, Brad, thank you. It is Man Like Doris. Thank you. I was like, it's a really good match. I can't wait to see it. It's going to be really good. And then my mind was like, yeah, because Man Like Doris, I believe, was announced for another match, and they moved him to this match, if I remember correctly.
I just want to point out, like, on the other side of that, though, is that you especially just lived rent-free in Jeff Hawkins' brain for the whole week. So that, just so he could make that joke. So I'm okay with that. I'm okay with it, Jeff.
Wasting my time. Not Jeff, FTR. Wasting my time.
I know. We love
night.
You, Jeff.
No, I was like, not Jeff.
He's our original DEI hire.
He is. Jeff is the first.
Gotta change the wording nowadays because we've been on the air too long.
He was the first non-female power honorary broad.
I called him our first equity hire.
When we diversified.
I called him our first equity hire back in the day, but now that's such a buzzword. So we all love the buzzwords. That's good stuff. We're super happy for Ashe. That's like their first on the road show. That's gonna be a lot.
Yeah, their first big one. Yeah, I'm looking forward to this. There's a ton. I will be having an article coming out on Daily DDT probably Tuesday or Wednesday about most matches or most like exciting, not exciting, but the most look forward to matches that are not happening at WrestleMania. But then my editor was like, you only need to do like 3 to 5. I was like, do you know that like 5 of those are Zack Sabre Jr. matches?
You're like, there's 5 Zack Sabre Jr. matches. You can't give me 5.
That's what I told my sister. I was like, I'm just gonna have one section, and it's just gonna be
all the Zack Sabre
Jr. matches. Yes. I was like,
you're just gonna be like Zack Sabre Jr. matches.
Right. And I was like, then you're gonna have to find. And I was like, then you're gonna have to have me narrow stuff down. And then there's been so many amazing matches that have been announced. I was like, I'm gonna have to go back, and that's my plan tonight. I've remembered some matches here and there, and I have a few matches that I know that I'm gonna put on that list besides Zach's matches. But then I was like, I'm gonna have to go back and still have to narrow this down to 5 matches. I mean, clearly it's not that important. I mean, like it's not like a life or death situation, but it's making me have to pick and choose just 5 matches from the coming week.
It's okay to have first world wrestling problems. It really is. Especially with the world as it is. I think our escapes are more this, like, again, I'm so excited about all the stuff that goes on around it. Like just Bloodsport alone this year. Like
I know
every year I'm like more excited about the Bloodsport than the last.
Yeah, and then there's so many good things, and then I'm gonna have to figure out where, especially now because I do have to watch WrestleMania because I'm doing coverage for it. I have to watch SmackDown because it's my job. But also this week, I'm not watching Raw this week because I have been asked to do live coverage of NXT on Tuesday. So for the first time ever, I will be doing NXT live coverage.
Interesting.
Because the girl who normally does it is unavailable, and so. And also, I think she's doing WrestleMania, so she probably. I was telling Nikki that last night. I was like, Collision can be a lot to do live coverage of, but I was like, I could not do a pay-per-view. I don't know how Olivia does it because it's a lot to have to cover. So she is very good at what she does. So I am happy to help her out. So I will be covering NXT on Tuesday, and then I was looking at some of the matches they're going to have, and there's going to be a parking lot fight, and we all know the NXT parking lot is the most dangerous place on earth. So there's a parking lot match. There's a fatal 4-way to name the NXT North American champion or number 1 contender, and it's like that match that'll be interesting. It's our friend Eddie Thorpe, who was the former Carl Fredericks, is facing Ethan Page, Wes Lee, and Lexis King, who is Brian Pillman Jr. will be in this match. I was like, oh, okay. Yay.
That's not
it is a pretty solid match. And then they announced there's a tag team gauntlet match to name the number 1 contender, which is interesting because WWE just did that for the women's tag team on Friday. They had a gauntlet match to pick the nut, and I could go off about that because of what the winners. I like the winners, but they are not a tag team. One of them currently holds a singles title, and now she's going to be competing for a tag team title because it shows you there's a lack of women's tag teams, which of course brings me back to, our argument about the AEW and people wanting women's tag team in that when we can barely book men's tag team. I'm
kind of going to have to ask you about that ROH Pure title.
I will, as my editor and I have talked about frequently. Most wrestling companies don't know how to book tag team wrestling as it is. Whether that's, I think some indies are a little bit better at it, but the major companies not so good at booking the tag team wrestling, which is unfortunate because I love tag team wrestling.
Yeah, I saw more tag team wrestling last night, and it was kind of like better booked because it. And again, I think, Cat Daddy told us when he was on here that he liked tag team wrestling also, and that he also was a tag team fan. A lot of the matches were tag matches last.
I love that for them.
And the boys will eventually probably wrestle single and be great, but they're a lot of fun just on their own as a tag team. We've got those effing guys who were fighting with Dub Club last year. It was heavy with tag teams last night. It was kind of exciting. I was like, yay, tag wrestling.
And I was like, I don't know if I should save my you know what, I won't try not to spend too long. So as we're speaking of tag team wrestling in WWE, I am super annoyed, but not in the least bit surprised that so 2 weeks ago, Motor City Machine Guns won the number 1 contendership to face the current champion Street Profits. That match is happening on the Friday Night SmackDown WrestleMania edition. It is not happening on WrestleMania.
That's
New
Day
versus the Viking Raiders. That is happening on one of the nights. There's 2 nights, so I guess we can only have one We can have one male tag team and then the women's tag team match, and that's it. And this is nothing against New Day and the Viking Raiders, but this story involving the SmackDown tag team titles have been going on since October. It started around the time that Motor City came to WWE and the stuff with the Street Profits and like the story they have also been telling. And so the story has been building since October, and they can't find a spot for it on WrestleMania. It's going to be on SmackDown the night before, and I am super pissed about it. And I was like, I hope they are happy with their decision. But this is like, from a wrestling perspective, this is what annoys me about them choosing that. But then again, AEW's tag team vision is not much better. So yeah, it is what it is. At least they're getting, at least it's happening in Vegas, I guess. And I'm just super annoyed that story has been building for months and it can't even get on the main card over 2 nights. Including the post and the pre and post show, 9 hours each day is how long they have scheduled. They can't even make it to a pre-show, but they're going to be on SmackDown. So, I know SmackDown needs matches. I get it, but I don't know why we're doing a title, that big of a title match.
It just seems like a natural WrestleMania. Even if it's on the undercard, that just seems naturally that's weird.
And so, yeah.
On paper, not watching the product, hearing that that's a match, that I would watch that match.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
And
again, like I said, nothing against New Day and the Viking Raiders, but they don't really have this. They have a little bit of a feud, and I know it's because of the stuff they're doing with New Day. And I, of course, I huge New Day fan. They definitely deserve to be on Mania. But if you're looking at the stories that are being told here, this is the story that's going back to October, and you can't find spot for it on the card. It's just you have 2 days and you can't find room for them.
Smart booking says, get the people that are unrecognized by the WWE fan base on the big card. And New Day's been on WrestleMania 1 billion times. I saw New Day.
They haven't been on there in a while, and they haven't been there on this version as their heels. And so this is a different type of New Day. And so, again, they should absolutely deserve a Mania spot, but there's no reason why you can't put them on there.
Well, there's got to be something on those cards, like a Logan Paul match or something. I don't know.
Yeah, there is. Logan Paul's wrestling AJ on Sunday.
That's AJ, so AJ's going to take precedent.
Of course, but they're going to put him on there anyway because they're paying him a bunch of money.
With that much time, the pacing of these 2 shows is going to be terrible. That's what that tells me.
Yeah,
there's going to be a lot of filler in these shows again.
Yes. Yeah, exactly. Right. Yes, and I agree with Fernando. It's a disgrace that the women's secondary titles are not being defended. No, they are not. And one of those people who has a secondary title is wrestling for the tag team titles.
When is Motor City going to get their WrestleMania moment then? I hope that,
well, and that's what I said when I was like, they're not going to be around forever.
Right.
They are in their 40s, obviously both very healthy, but we know how the wrestling business is. Give them their WrestleMania moment while we know for sure they can have it. Mm-hmm. I hope they'll be around for next WrestleMania, but who the hell knows what the booking's going to look like in a year for tag team wrestling? Are they going to be split up by next WrestleMania?
Oh God, no, please.
Will they even be a tag team?
Please, no. Do not split up Motor City Machine Gun.
God, that's they've already got the Lucha Brothers are on 2 different shows.
Oh my God.
They've got Penta.
The worst part about that is that is exactly the kind of thing that WWE would do.
They at least are acknowledging that they're brothers, so at least they aren't hiding that fact. They're not they're like, this is Penta's brother Ray. They are at least acknowledging that, but I guess in a way it's good because you introduce them as singles wrestlers, but it's just the whole reason WWE wanted them when they tried to get them earlier was because they wanted them as a duo. They wanted them as a tag team. The Raw tag team, as much as there's 4 tag teams on SmackDown, there's barely the Raw SmackDown division is hurting way worse, and they need a team like the Lucha Brothers. And so I don't understand the reasoning. Maybe it's because WrestleMania season's already booked. So maybe they'll, join up after at some point later on down the road. Maybe maybe one will be drafted to the other one's show. Penta was already, because Penta got there first, he's already in a story. So I don't know if they just didn't want to add Phoenix to the equation. So they just put him on a completely different brand. I don't really understand what the reasoning is behind that. But Phoenix has had 2 matches. He debuted 2 Fridays ago, and then he wrestled this Friday. I'm sure he'll be on the SmackDown for Mania weekend. I'm sure he'll be on that. But yeah, it's really frustrating. And also, while we're talking, since we're on the WrestleMania thing, I will find out the time, and you can follow, if you're following me on Blue Sky and on Twitter, I will post it there. I don't know if I will say, I don't think it's a secret, but I was invited to be on a prediction show for night 1 of WrestleMania. So Saturday afternoon, I will be going live to do some WrestleMania predictions, and I'm sure I'll have some thoughts to share about night 1. Because that I think somebody else said it. Yeah, Vinkin said it. Saturday is going to be pretty mid. Yeah,
well, it'll be better if you tune in and watch Sam go live during it then.
So it'll be sometime, I know, because Stand and Deliver is Saturday morning, which is NXT's show. And
they
will, after that
makes sense.
They will have their NXT the NXT post show, their normal people, and then the WrestleMania night 1 prediction show will be after that. And so I will be joining. I don't think we all have a start time just yet. And then also while they're watching Stand and Deliver, I will be watching Effie's Big Gay Brunch. I told them, I was like, I will be available. I was like, I'm sure, because I think there's I think Effie's Big Gay Brunch starts 30 minutes after Stand and Deliver starts. So I was like, should be finishing not too far along. If they're doing their post show and stuff, we should be good. But I told them, I'm going to be watching Effie's Big Gay Brunch, and they were like, yeah, that show should be really good. So
there's some really good stuff on.
Yes.
Yeah.
I Make Beat says WWE doesn't have much investment in the teams, and it feels unbalanced on both shows. You have great teams, but again, booking. Yeah. I mean, and you could make that argument for AEW.
Yeah.
Because they've struggled with their once extremely deep tag team division is not what it used to be. And then
they were helped to be founded by a tag team.
Right. I mean, I am really excited though they made it official last night. Gates of Agony challenged Hurt Syndicate for this Wednesday. And I'm very excited for that because Gates of Agony are great. And in ROH, they have not yet great. Gates of Agony and the Infantry are the 2 most dominant tag teams in ROH. Neither one of them have gotten title shots yet for the ROH tag team title. So I'm excited to see Gates of Agony at least be like, well, we're going to call somebody out for some titles. And so that's the match that we're getting. So I'm really looking forward to that one. And I'm hoping that means that hopefully the Infantry will also get some title shots soon because I love them.
That's hilarious. We were watching and Bob's like, oh, I forgot these guys wrestled. And now the new joke in our house is, have they been wrestling on ROH? And I'm like, I'll ask Sam if I don't know for sure. So
Brad says Gates of Agony squash last night was so over with the fans. I loved to see it. And then Jeff says that neither Rumble winner is main eventing a night despite the big step. The drop off from last year to this year is regarding anticipation of the chasm. That's a whole big argument is how, like he just said, neither Rumble winner is main eventing. Because Uso and Gunther are not, and then of course Charlotte and Tiffany are not. But again, they've been booking that match for SmackDown. That match is a Mania SmackDown match at best. The way they've booked that match with Charlotte and Tiffany, it's been awful. The Naomi and Jade, at least, that's been the most exciting story that they've been booking. Thankfully,
the only thing I saw about Charlotte,
thankfully that is getting a Mania match, but that match has been booked better than Charlotte versus Tiffany.
The only thing I know about Charlotte and Tiffany is all the weird, and I never looked deeper. I don't click the clickbait. I was like, what's going on with it? Like, apparently there was some going off script or some crazy.
Yes, they did.
regardless.
Yes.
And I watched.
They were in Chicago, which, you know, Chicago will let you know right away if they love you or they hate you. And if they hate you, it's over for you. And they hated Charlotte Flair and they rattled her. She got rattled.
I saw the
bad.
clip. That's what Bob and I did.
She got rattled, and then she started mocking Tiffany's voice because Tiffany's voice is a little higher pitch. She mocked the way her voice sounded. And then, so Tiffany, for the last few weeks, Charlotte's been kind of burying Tiffany. So Tiffany also went off script, and she made a reference to Andrade. And then Charlotte made a reference to Ludwig Kaiser because that's Tiffany Stratton's boyfriend, IRL. And she made a reference claiming he was in her DMs. And it was a shit show.
Okay, I was gonna ask you to fill in the blanks, but then I was like, do I really want to boost this crap?
Yeah, it was bad.
But I saw the clip of because finally after a while I was like, okay, I gotta watch this clip at least and see what it is, because some people had captured it because they apparently erased it from
so on YouTube they took out, and on their social media they took out where Charlotte was mocking Tiffany's voice, and then they took out the Andrade reference and the Ludwig Kaiser reference. But of course, once it's out there on the internet forever.
Oh no, it was captured. I got the unedited version when I saw it because someone had taken it. So.
And then so Friday night, how they followed it up, apparently before SmackDown even went on air, there was a video that they posted to social media where Charlotte attacked Tiffany in the parking lot. They didn't air it on SmackDown. They referred to it as a viral video. They claimed Charlotte had been sent home for the week. Tiffany even though she was beat up in the parking lot, she was well enough to face Roxanne Perez later that night and have a great match with her. And then Charlotte attacked her, of course, after the match. And the person who stopped her from making it even worse was Wade Barrett. On commentary, Wade Barrett stood up because she threw Tiffany over the announce desk. Wade Barrett stood up and blocked Tiffany from Charlotte, and so Charlotte eventually just got down and walked away. So that's what we're doing over here with the women's SmackDown, with the WWE Women's SmackDown title.
I will keep my comments to myself since it's not my product. And if you don't have anything nice to say, you don't need to say.
There's nothing nice to say. But yes, and somebody asked, the show that I will be doing, yes, it will be on, thank you. Yes, it will be on YouTube.
We'll share it when we get close.
Yes, I will make sure when we have a time. But yes, it will be live on YouTube. I just, like I said, I don't know. The time is TBA, depending on how things are going. It will be in the afternoon. It will be after their NXT post show. I know that for sure. Let's see here. I know we're spending a lot of time on WWE, but I just want to get
it keeps happening. But also, you cover it, and it is Mania season. So, in fairness, there is a lot going on right now because Mania season's happening. I mean, there's a lot of silly crap. There's things just end up. Most of my stuff on my feed is, I mean, it's like largely wrestling. So it's
right.
Just,
so you're
it doesn't, it doesn't, it doesn't care which label I like.
Right.
It's like, no, all wrestling. Like, oh my God. But at least I get your stuff aggregated because I've clicked on enough of your articles that it actually sends me your articles. So if anyone wants to get Sam's articles, the best way to do it is click and read them, because you got to look. It's like you have to click it and then you have to stare at it for at least like 30 seconds.
Right.
And scroll and
right.
So if you read it, they start aggregating Wrestling Inc. and stuff to my Daily DHT stuff to my thingy, and it's like, all right.
At least
I'm trying to work the algorithm.
At least the algorithm was working some small.
Well, I can work the algorithm back a little.
Yes. That Vinkid makes it. That is a fair point. The Wade is, to be fair, Wade is real for that, to do that right, do the right thing. No one of the security can do. Yeah, and that security is pretty much helpless, because we saw it again later in the main event, or not in the main event with, but we saw that later with the stuff with Drew McIntyre and Damian Priest. Security didn't do a whole lot of nothing. They held him back briefly, but it wasn't enough, of course, because it never is. But I mean, that's that's wrestling. We see that all the time. So and it makes me laugh because they'll be like, do something. All right, well, why don't you do something?
Yeah.
And Wade Barrett said, okay, just like last night. Nigel.
I was just going to say, meanwhile, we have our man Nigel over here protecting Tony Schiavone.
Yes.
And that was so good.
It was great. And you have Nigel, don't go in there. This is not a good idea. I know these guys. I was a wrestler too. Don't do it. And Tony's like, it's my job. I got it. It's fine. What are they going to do? And then Nigel was like, okay. And then today I saw somebody posted on Blue Sky and they said Nigel protect, but he also attack. I was like, yes.
The best part of the whole thing was when he got back to the desk and told Tony that if you ever do that again, I'm going to kill you. I'm like, this was the perfect, this spot was perfect. It was so good.
And then like later in the night when they attacked Daniel, well, obviously we saw what they did to 2.0, but then when they attacked Daniel Garcia, Nigel said, see, Tony, that's what would have happened to you if you. He was like, I was trying to tell you that's what would have happened. And Tony was like, I know, I'll never forget that. Thank you for.
Nigel broke a barrier over the last year or so. I think it maybe was him getting back in the ring a little bit, opened him up more, and he is becoming him and Excalibur are basically the money on the side.
The only thing that drives me crazy about Nigel is so if I'm trying to listen to what's happening on Collision, I will I'll start laughing, or I'm like, I need you to explain what a move, and I'm like, or he'll say something out of pocket, and I'm like, damn it, Nigel, and then I stop laughing, or start laughing and stop typing, and then I have to rewind it and see what move happened because he's too busy laughing at Nigel. He distracts me all the time.
He's gotten really good at well-timed one-line or two-liners. So yeah. Grandpa, although Tony Schiavone still wins with Grandpa Jones because that was pretty funny.
That was really funny
because it was just timed perfectly. He just had a moment and it was he nailed that. That was one of those beautiful moments in time of humor that you get in rare instances, and he just
And I've seen there's been a lot of complaints about AEW's commentary as of late, especially the last week or two, and which I get, but it's so funny that a lot of people's responses were, can we stop tell Ian to stop being a family man and come commentate full time? Yeah. We need him. They're like, I've seen so many people that just want Ian, because I was like, Ian's so great, but I was like, he's also very busy. Because I follow him on LinkedIn, and he just started a new job 2 months ago.
Wow.
And he's still on the school board. He's on his school board, or no, maybe it's the town council. Maybe it's the town council, but one of the two. It's funny. He has called wrestling and then gone to attend a meeting and then come back to, and he's taken his classes. He's left commentary to go take classes, and so. He's a very busy man, and he works hard for his work-life balance. So I can appreciate that. That's
really great. I could totally respect that. He is awesome, though. I think it's kind of fun though because he does the ROH matches and he does really special.
He and Caprice are phenomenal together. I love them so much on ROH, and I was telling Nikki the other day we were watching, and Caprice, I don't remember who he was talking about, and I was like, we need to get Ian to an Ashe show because Caprice is the commissioner of Ashe.
Oh, nice. That's right. I knew that.
I was like, I think Ian would love it because
I do too.
Just the way he loves independent wrestling and the way he talks about people, and I was like, we somehow get this man to an Ashe show.
Well, and Darius is booking people that are pretty renowned, so it's not as if it's not a serious situation here this,
right?
Is
I was like, please find a Saturday that Ian is not busy doing something, and please get him to an.
Wouldn't it be so fun?
Maybe he watched. I was like, and he might have seen it. Maybe he buys maybe he's bought pay-per-views. But I was like, he needs to see. I feel like Ian needs to see it in person because I feel like he would really appreciate what they're doing.
It'd be so great if he stumbled on it in Vegas or something and was like, hi, I want to be involved because Darius rocks. And
right. Yes. Exactly.
Just cute. So yeah.
Brad says, I'm fine with Nigel and Tony on Collision, but Ian and Caprice on Dynamite would be fantastic. I would also take that. I will take them, and as much of them as I can get. I love them together. And maybe he says Nigel is great. I get my British humor from him as a Brit.
Yeah,
Nigel is great. He cracks me up way too much sometimes. I'm like,
there is a great value as a Faulty Towers, Monty Python, and many other.
And and I will say, when Nigel first got there, I was not happy with him because
it took him a little.
He was with Ian and Caprice, and he was rude to Ian.
Yeah, they struggled that first night.
And I know a lot of it was because he had been in WWE on their commentary, and they clearly do commentary in a very specific way. And I get that. And he had to kind of find find his voice outside of that. But I was not a fan of his because I did not like the way he spoke to Nigel. He was rude. Mm-hmm. I mean, to Ian, he was rude to him 2 or 3 episodes in a row. And then Nigel, then he went over to WWE and he was kind of rude. To AEW when he went to he was on Collision. He was a little, I was like, this isn't fitting right. And then slowly, once he figured out who he was on commentary, he let his personality come through. It's completely different than what it was when he first came in. Because when he first came in, I was not a fan on commentary. Mm-hmm. I was like, I respect him. I know he's done a lot in this business, but you're not going to be mean to Ian Riccaboni, who is one of the nicest people, from what I hear, one of the nicest people in this business. You're not going to come in here and be mean to Ian on my watch. And then he eventually got over it. Maybe I don't know if there's some real life stuff, or maybe it was just Nigel thought he had to be that, character or whatever. And then finally he said to hell with it. And now we have this version of Nigel who will go save Tony Schiavone.
I like it. I think it's been the last 9 months, year or so, where especially the last 9 months or so, where I think he's really fun. I think the show at Wembley helped a lot. And he found a groove that was where he
I think he and Tony I think a 2-man booth for Collision works. I mean, they do okay. Sometimes Daddy Magic fills in and they're able to work with him. Though. Don Callis, obviously they deal with him the best that they can. Yeah. But I think that Tony and Nigel running as a 2-man booth really works for them.
People forget that Don Callis is a really good heel commentator too, though. I used to
love. It's so funny because Taz, I can't tell how much of it is a bit with Taz and how much of it is Taz just can't stand Don Callis. Because a couple of weeks ago, Taz told him, he said, Don, you are a guest. I am trying to do my job and you are talking over me. He was like, and I have never, it was not, and Don Callis was quiet for a few minutes and then he interjected a little bit and then they kind of got back into it. But I think it came off like he caught Don off guard. I don't think Don expected that. And then of course they've gone back since he's been out there. They've gone back to what they typically do. But that one day I was like, oh, I don't think he was joking. I think Taz was really pissed off for a second because he was talking over Taz while Taz was trying to do his job and Taz put him in his place.
He is Taz of all the people. He's definitely going to be fine. No one's going to get mad at Taz for that.
Right.
Commentary Jones.
Yeah.
That Jones joke always
the
works.
Other day that he added Jones to. Obviously most things he adds Jones to was really funny, but he said something on Dynamite the other night, and I wish I could remember what it was because it was really funny. And I was like, Taz.
We were worried because Tony said Grandpa Jones that we were going to have to retire, that Taz was going to have to retire the joke because Tony just won. He won.
I don't think Taz can retire it because I don't think he knows how to not add Jones.
Not use it. Yeah, I think it's just one of those things I used to work with people when I worked on a golf course, I worked as a greenskeeper and I had a guy on there and he was that guy who would call people Snickle Fritz or Josephus or whatever. And he would, it's there was a movie with, I think it was Nathan Fillion was in it or somebody like that. Maybe it was anyway, it was called Extract and it's silly. It was like a hidden gem. But one of the funny jokes in it was that one of the guys, the floor manager, he called everyone Snickle Fritz. And so the main character was like, you're going to have to be more specific because I don't know which one you're talking about this time. And I was like, I worked with that guy. He was hilarious. He always came up with great names, though.
I make me so that I really like the Don Callis character. He's a great heel.
He is a great heel. Don Callis is one of my favorite people to hate.
The fans love it, and it's funny
we
that they're
booed him out of the Little Caesars Arena
him at the shows, and Don's like, and apparently he supposedly has told them like, "Stop it! You're embarrassing yourself. You're not as good as me." So I can verbally beat up on my table partner, but you will not lay a hand on him on the ring. Exactly.
And as Sam and I are both sisters, we both know, yes, that's true. I can say whatever I want about my sister, but don't you ever say anything about my sister. I'll kill you.
I just had a flashback to a moment a few years ago where Nikki, like, I thought Nikki was going to fight this man. It was the first time we saw Elton John. I thought Nikki was going to fight this man because he was being rude to me. Like, I thought Nikki was legitimately going to fight. I was like, we're going to get kicked out of Elton John because Nikki is about to punch this man because of the way he just spoke to me.
That's my sister. She would like, he'd be the first one to jump. I mean, like hey, I'm the oldest.
We have waited so many years to see Elton. And we saw him like it was at an outdoor venue. And I mean, we were under the seated section, but I was like, we have waited. Nikki and I are huge Elton John fans. We have waited a very long time. I was like, please listen. I was like, thank God. I was like, I do not want to get kicked out of Elton John. Even though we did end up seeing him again on the first part of his farewell tour pre-COVID. That's why I missed the very first time that AEW was in Charlotte for Dynamite. I missed because I was at Elton John.
I mean, when you wait your whole life. It's
yes, and that was
wrestling
this was the beginning. This was pre-COVID, but it was the beginning of the farewell tour, and I was like, "We're going." And then, but yes, Brad says that Callis is usually pretty great in commentary, getting over the opponents while still putting over his guy. I was surprised at the Taz situation. Yeah, I don't know if maybe he's done it before, and Taz just lets it slide, and then that one time he was just like, not today. Maybe Taz was just not having a good. He just kind of,
or maybe Taz
he just kind of put him in his place real quick. But they've been fine since then. So I feel like it was like a legitimate like, shut up. This is you're talking over me, and this is what I get paid to do. Stop. And Callis kind of realized, okay, I took it a step too far. I know what my boundaries are with Taz. Yeah. Let me dial it back a little bit and make sure I keep it. Make sure I don't do that again. And then they've been fine since then because it was like 2 weeks ago, I think. So they've been okay since. But yes, Don Callis is very good at sleeves. Yeah, I do think his forehead scar gets bigger.
It gets bigger. It gets brighter. He really plays that. That guy is the truest carny of carnies. But he is very hateable. And back when he was doing like New Japan commentary, he was really good at him and Kevin Kelly had like back then.
When Kevin Kelly gave a damn about his job.
But just pre-pandemic, Kevin Kelly was better than I got old and thought the world was going to hell, Kevin Kelly. So. We'll just live in our nostalgias and not worry about this time where that person's moved on.
It was interesting though last night that Don Callis did not come out with Takeshita for the main event, and he also was clearly so, and then he was not on commentary either, which I thought was interesting. I don't know if he had something prior and that's why he wasn't there. But I was like, oh, that's really interesting because I was like, Don's not here, and I was like,
he's up to weird Don Callis stuff.
It's weird not hearing him yelling and putting over how great Takeshita is, but it actually was kind of refreshing too, because then I could just focus on again. Sometimes Don's okay. I mean, sometimes he can be a bit much, and I know it's what he's doing. I know that's what he's there for. But I was like, oh, it's actually kind of refreshing to just hear regular commentary about Takeshita and Brody King. I don't know. But is this true that Hook was vomiting after the trios match? I have not heard. I hadn't heard anything, but they did like lay him out over the back of a chair. So I mean, it wouldn't surprise me because I remember seeing. I was like, "Oh, that's real bold of you to do this right in front of his father. His father is sitting right there." It's like very bold of you. Yes, Brad said Kyle and Takeshita being the most wholesome wrestling couple on Twitter is amazing. Yes, I saw that Kyle went to that Kyle was at the show on Friday as was at Windy City Riot. I heard he was backstage and he took a picture of his wrestling husband.
Cute.
Backstage. They are very cute. They make me they're so funny. Brad said yes, Hook threw up twice before the chair spot. He also threw up prior to the match. It sounds like somebody had the flu or some food poisoning, and maybe we shouldn't have ran him out there. And he's got a match on Wednesday, and because this awful injury bug that is hitting everybody, apparently, now Pac is injured. He got injured. He got injured in his match with Swerve. They had to kind of hurry up and get to the end, and you could hear Pac say, I missed it live, but when I went back, I saw somebody say it on Twitter, and then when we went back and watched the match, you can hear Swerve right before Swerve was getting ready to do the last Swerve stomp. You can hear Pac say sorry. It's like bless his heart. So he apparently has something going on. I don't know if they confirmed what the injury is, but because he is injured, Jon Moxley is now interim trios champion. And he will be stepping in on Wednesday against the Ops. I assumed the Ops were going to win. I don't know if they're going to win the title here or if they're going to have a rematch down the road, because I feel like the Ops are going to win. But now would be a good time to do it with Pac being injured, and then Pac can be like, "Oh, you're the reason I lost my title." Oh, that is right. Nikki said she just remembered that she thought she saw vomit in the ring. That is right, because we saw it, and Nikki was like, "What is that?" She was like, She was like, "That looks like puke." I didn't realize that was, yeah.
That's no good. I hope that wasn't like a catering or a stomach bug situation or some yeah. Hopefully he's doing okay.
Sounds like gross.
Gross.
AEW is getting hit with.
You're making me think of just the puke emoji. Actually, that's all that I could think of just then.
Yes, they are unfortunately getting hit with that injury bug. But it's, I mean, WWE just lost Kevin Owens depending on when he has surgery, he could be gone. If he, knock on wood, if he returns to wrestling, he could be out through next WrestleMania. Is like what they're predicting, depending on, they don't know for sure. But
is that a back because or neck issue? Neck. Yikes.
Yes. And if it turns out that was his last wrestling match, his last match was against Sami Zayn in Toronto. And Nikki asked me if she thought that was on purpose, or if I thought that was on purpose, because he has been dealing with this neck injury for 4 months. And then the Friday that he announced he needed surgery, he found out that week he would need surgery. And there's Dave says he's already had surgery. PWI says he has not. Fightful has not been able to confirm that he's had surgery. So Dave says he had surgery last Monday. PWI said he's not even had surgery yet. So, but regardless, whenever he does have surgery, depending on how bad this is, he could potentially be out through next WrestleMania.
Gotta be careful with the neck ones. I mean, back is crazy too, but that's where our brainstem plugs in, so it's kind of important.
Right.
I mean, if he is that hurt and never comes back, then he's safe. That's what has to happen. But
and then they did do the show in Toronto. That was part of the reason that they did the Sami Kevin match. But I mean, maybe he did know that things were really serious and he just wanted to get that out. I don't know.
I wouldn't be surprised just because
they had that as his last, knew that, okay, if this is it, then this is who my final match has to be against. Or if it's just coincidence that that's just how it worked out. But yeah. I mean, it would be super poetic, yes, for sure. If that was his final match.
At least it was someone
final opponent.
I mean, if they weren't planning it, at least that's a fortuitous coincidence because of the situation. If they were planning it, then that's hopefully he went out on his terms, knowing that there's a good possibility potentially that. I mean, obviously neck injuries, that's a big deal. So you gotta
and that was it was a really great match too. If that ends up being it, that was a really good match. And that reminds, I've started it, but I have not gotten very far. I don't even think I've got past the intro, but I bought Myth Gifts, who her real name is JJ. She has a book that just came out, and it's if you've read any of her threads on Twitter and now she's on Blue Sky, you know that she's very good at picking up on things. And she has great threads about other wrestlers, but the threads that she does on Sammy and Kevin, they're phenomenal. And I have learned so much about them just from reading her things. So she just came out with a book called, I want to say it's called Fight Forever. I have got to get the exact title, but she's phenomenal. But she has an ebook, which is what I bought. I just bought the ebook from her right before her Indiegogo ended. I bought one. She also has a paperback version of it as well. And I was like, I can't wait to really dive into it, because if anybody knows the history of them, it's her. And also my editor Miles at Wrestling Inc. He is a huge fan of them. He knows all about from like their early days when they are wrestling between the two of them. Like they are huge, both.
That's rad.
Yes. So, but yes, I'll post about that book, because it's definitely something I think you guys would like. For sure. Brad says that one thing I noticed Swerve do in the match during the pin, he looked at Pac's opposite leg, which many wrestlers might not normally do. He was very aware in the moment. Yeah, Swerve did really great. He realized quickly what was going on. And, Doc Sampson was immediately on the outside, because I went back and rewatched it, and when Pac rolled to the outside and Doc came to check on him, you see the ref and Swerve, like you could tell that they're kind of trying to be like, okay, we gotta like wrap this up. But I thought Swerve did really well to get that over as quickly as he could and do what he needed to do, and also, protect Pac, but also like make Pac look like
that
he was.
Shows you how much experience he has.
Yeah,
he's been down to the indie. I mean, he started as an indie kid, just like everyone. That's just like we were talking about. Like I saw Swerve for the first time on the indies. In the hall.
Too. Yeah, I talked to him. I saw him at Evolve, but I also PWX brought him in a couple times. I talked to him.
Yeah,
I talked to him at PWX, and then he signed with WWE like 7 months after that.
Yeah. We were probably close in when we got to see him, because he was here in Evolve as well. So
yeah, that is interesting. Laurent said it's weird how they allowed that to happen, talking about letting Jon Moxley be interim champion when they didn't let Bullet Club Gold retain the trio title when Juice and Switchblade got injured. Yeah. But I don't know if it's because they're already going to drop the title to the Ops, so they're just going ahead and making sure the match happens to go ahead and get the belts on the Ops and just get that, do that maybe.
Which would make me happy, because I love the Ops.
Yeah, me too. Brad says, my guess is that they needed to book the match for the Ops to win the titles, and since it's so close to Wednesday. Yeah, because I didn't even see Brad's comment. But that's yes, funny. You and I are on the same wavelength. Yep. I really hope Kevin Owens is back at some point.
Me too.
Yeah, that Alabama Slam ladder spot was insane in the moment, but knowing he was already had an injured neck and did that, yes, and it is a tough break for Randy. Randy came back basically to have this match, and now it looks like they're going to run Randy Orton versus Solo Sikoa is what it looks like they're doing. They did tease us with Aldis, but no, unfortunately, I think we're getting Solo Sikoa. Big Pete said, I legit thought Speedball was injured in the three-way. Those screams, yes.
He's
and
good.
Also, I forgot to pull it up. Brad mentioned it. I did see AEW's guest this week is Speedball. And he said it was the most wholesome, naughty interview, which
awesome. I'm into that.
Yeah. Sounds exactly like that.
You guys have.
I'm just reading some of these comments. Are so about.
You guys are so awesome. Thank you.
Make me so just bring up the Death Riders and give John all 3 trios belts, and he can defend them in handicap matches. Let him be. He could be the. Just give him to Mercedes. Let her be the true belt collector, and let Mercedes have the trios champions. I mean titles. Why not?
She can have like an even bigger case, like the nuclear football or whatever, like the president has, and like she can just carry it around, like the guy that carries that with him, like with the president all over. That's what she's doing. It's like a bigger one. She could have like a backpack, and Marina's the best, so she's making it work.
Yes,
seven
belt Monet.
Totally.
I watched. Then she can make her own version of the Ultimo Dragon photo with her 7 titles. Speaking of titles,
question for you: did Mercedes and Athena ever wrestle in NXT?
I don't think so.
Okay.
If somebody can correct me, I want to say no. I want to say that they did that Sasha was already main roster.
Okay.
And Ember, off the top of my head, I want to say no. They have never wrestled before, but I'm sure somebody in the replies. Time for research. Somebody please research that.
Yes, Bob, you win. You were right. Thank you. I told you I would ask Sam. I thought she would know.
Laurent says they've never had one match, a one-on-one match. Okay, that's what I thought. Yeah, because then they had the tag match last
I admitted it live on air. There you go.
Okay, see, that's what I thought. That the time that was them meeting for the first time ever was the tag match last week. That's what I thought. Okay, I was like.
Thank
you. As far as I know.
Thank you, Megan and Laurent and all the rest of you and Sam. I figured I'd ask. That's what now that we were talking about it, I was like, oh yeah. I got to remember. Sometimes during the week, I'm like, I don't know. I'll ask Sam because I think it will make for good conversation. So plus it's on point because
and then if we don't know, somebody in the chat will probably
somebody in our chat will definitely know. And it's on point. So it's stuff we're watching for real.
Yes. Vinkin says he found a fatal four-way.
Yeah,
this will be their first one-on-one, and then last week they had the tag match.
Nice
that they had. Okay, Laurent says they've been in multi-woman matches in WWE, but this will be the first one-on-one match this week.
All right.
I watched NXT at that time. Me too.
All right, I get it. You win. What do you want
from happening? Me? Of course. I mean, they're smart. They're doing it in Boston, which we'll get to the Owen Cup. We'll get to the Owen Cup, Owen Hart Cup.
Yeah, we're getting there
shortly. We'll get there. But speaking of titles, apparently there's going to be a new one.
Yeah,
because last night, following Collision, they were doing some ROH taping stuff, and Tony Khan announced that ROH is getting its first ever women's pure title, which I guess explains why Serena challenged Queen Aminata to the first ever women's pure match like 2 months ago. And then they didn't do anything with it. And then Queen Aminata got hurt. And she sent Queen Aminata with she sent her with her notebook of 1,000 holds that she's been working on forever and sent her away with that. The tournament I think they're doing a tournament. It starts at Supercard of Honor, which is May the 2nd. So I'm guessing what they're doing is they'll crown a winner, and the winner will have their first match at Death Before Dishonor, because that is happening the night before All In. So I'm guessing that's why they're starting it there. When I first saw it, I just laughed. So it's like, can we figure out what we're doing with the women's title when Athena drops it? One of the thoughts that has crossed my mind is the ROH women's title is going to be off of ROH TV. Either Athena's going to take it with her to the main roster, which I do not want. Hello, Collins. Collins is here. Auntie Collins is here. Collins has the wonderful Honor Ramble podcast over on our local establishment's YouTube channel and their Twitch. And they have been kind enough to let me on their show a few times too, because Collins is also one of the 12 people.
She probably has a bit to say
one of the 12 people who regularly watches ROH with me.
So in our Discord, I actually, because a lot of people were saying things like, belts for everyone. Some of our people called it a participation belt. So it's not getting. The problem with this that I see is that the negative response to it from the general population, whether you're watching or not. And I said, but hey, the problem with ROH is that continues to happen is it's behind a paywall. You don't promote it on your live TV show. And those are just two problems. There's lots of problems. Yes, you guys obviously. but I did make the joke in our Discord. I said, maybe the 12 people that watch ROH are happy about this. We should ask them. So.
We are yay, more women. Collins, yes, thank you, Collins. This is pure rule supremacy. Collins loves the pure wrestling.
Me too.
very good at, Collins knows a lot about ROH's pure title lineage, everything about that. Collins, because I've missed, as much as I've watched ROH, I did not watch a lot. I didn't have access. I didn't watch a lot of the earlier stuff. So Collins and Kyle are great at having knowledge about like a lot, like early ROH, a lot of that stuff that I miss. And so I learned so much from both of them. And so being on their show, which is great, it allows me to rant about ROH in real time, but also I learned so much from Collins and Kyle Sparks, because I
remember Kyle when he stood in for me on the one time.
Yes.
I loved listening to his ROH knowledge,
yes.
just a little bit. I was like, nice, this is fun.
Yes,
true ROH historians here.
Yes, very much a true ROH historian. And Collins, if you want to know about pure rules stuff, Collins is your person. Right. Okay. So Collins says, yes, we do love Auntie Collins in this house. Collins, I love Auntie Collins so much that I have missed watching Grey's Anatomy live multiple times just to be with Collins.
That is love.
and or Kyle. They are both. Dang. They have welcomed me with open arms to their show, and I truly appreciate them. And yes, Colin said it's their favorite. Yes, ROH just need a TV deal. We got to figure out some other stuff first. Colin said, "Who is the female Nigel, the female Danielson?"
Right.
My guess is I don't think they're on that level, but I would say Serena Deeb and Deanna probably are probably the closest, I guess, to what they're looking at. But I don't know that this woman exists outside of ROH. Queen Aminata also is a really good person you can make an argument for, but as far as I know, I don't know that Queen Aminata has done a pure rules style things like on the indies, like prior to AEW/ROH. Yes, I would also say Trish Adora is probably very close.
Ooh.
I don't know what has been going on with her. She's been off TV for a while. I assume an injury. I assume that she's going to be involved in this if she is cleared and healthy.
Deanna and Trish sounds fun.
And so I had said before that when we were trying to figure out, because the problem that we have before we even get to this title is, what are we doing with the ROH women's title? Once Athena is gone,
right?
And even if she were staying and dropping the title, once Athena no longer is carrying that title, we have built no one up to even. Nobody's going to take Athena's place. What she has done, no one will ever do. Everybody will always be in Athena's shadow. They will have to forge their own path. It appeared to be Billy for a while. Now it almost seems like Billy is going to be following Athena up to the main roster. So if it is not Billy, then who? We talked about perhaps you give that title to Deanna. Deanna is somebody who has been a multi-time women's champion in other companies. Have Taya win the TV title. Last week, Taya challenged La Catalina. The winner of that match will face Red Velvet for the TV title. Will there be a title change? Perhaps. Maybe Taya gets involved in the pure match now. And so there are women who are down there. There's not, they could, I was talking to LaRod about this last night. They could also utilize the women they're not using. Bring Nyla Rose down there. Can Nyla Rose wrestle pure style? I don't know that half that roster can. But
yeah,
you gotta do something with these women. There's Riho. There's Yuka Sakazaki. There's Shida. I don't know how often she's doing stuff in Japan, but there's Emi Sakura. That, there's these women who are not being there. Where's Ty Mello? We have not seen Ty Mello since she was in. That might be a better January.
That might be a better role for her. With her vibe.
There's Anna Jay. Can she? The thing is, of course, Pure, and if Collins will tell you, Pure is obviously a very particular style. You can't just. You have to, work with it. You can't just come in and be thrown at it. So that's my concern about. Sure, that's one way you get people on TV, like your Nylas, your Rihos, your Shidas, and things like that. But if they don't have a pure background, then how exactly are they going to be competing for a pure title when they don't have a pure background? So then that's where it leaves you with a very small group, which is Serena Deeb, probably Trisha Dora, and Deanna are probably, and Queen Aminata, I assume. So those are kind of your four, but then you can't have a division with four women. We've seen that being, I mean, that's kind of what you have with your, we can't even, and you know, somebody said, why don't you got to establish the TV championship? Yes, you do. So I have very, like, on the one hand, yay for women. It's huge that women are getting this. There has never been a women. I believe Collins can confirm, but I believe there's, when Serena challenged Queen Aminata, that was going to be the first ever women's pure rules match. Clearly for AEW, but I believe that means for ROH as well. I'm sure if Collins is still here, I'm sure Collins can let me know one way or another, but I believe that is the case. So you are establishing a belt for a style that most of your women have never wrestled before. And so I don't know what we're doing here. As with most things with ROH, I don't know what we're doing here. Yay for the women, but also I'm a little concerned for the women because we barely have the TV title on. We don't have the ROH women's title being defended. And then, so my guess was perhaps that ROH women's title is either going with Athena or Mercedes is going to be the true belt collector. She is going to take that title and add it to her collection. And ROH needs an additional title so that there are two titles on ROH television while the other one is on the main roster with either Athena or Mercedes. So I can't tell if it's I don't want to say a consolation prize because that's not fair to the women who are competing for this title. It's not fair to them. But yeah, I really have a lot of concerns about this. I don't know. They struggle clearly booking women in general. We're finally getting the hang of it on the main roster. Still have some holes, but they're clearly much better than it has been. But ROH already has issues they're not dedicated enough to ROH as it is. Like, let's be dedicated to what we've got. Now we're adding a new title to this with women who have not wrestled this style of wrestling. I said something to Nikki last night. I was like, as far as I know, Mercedes Martinez is still getting paid. They don't book her. Bring her back. Let Mercedes Martinez compete for the pure championship.
Yeah. I mean, you got to have, if you don't wrestle technical wrestling style, it's going to be hard for you to switch your style entirely. It's really Zack Sabre, what he does, and even Suzuki, like, that taught him. Like, my favorite story Jon Moxley ever told was when he met Jon Moxley and he just, Minoru Suzuki looked at him and said, "No high spot." I was like, and they knew that, and then he was like, and I knew we were going to be best friends forever. And it was like, and they do love wrestling each other, and they but that's a very specific. That's the I like that. It's kind of very wrestling.
Me too.
A lot, because it takes a lot of.
Lee Moriarty is a phenomenal. Champion. Like, he's defended his title, I believe, 7 times now, and he's had some proving ground matches. But Lee is incredible. But there's only so many people that even he can wrestle. And so you've got to bring in outside people, but who are there? I mean, I'm sure there are, and I just am not aware of them, but are there women on the indies who are wrestling a technical style, who are wrestling a pure style that Tony could bring in to compete for this title, that he could potentially sign to be in this division? I don't know what technical wrestling looks like in the women's sphere in indie wrestling. I assume that it's not much. Lauren says,
thank you.
Okay. Lauren says AEW needs a third women's title more than ROH says. I'm sure it will be fine, but they need to sign 20 to 30 more women to flesh out the division. Lauren, and that was another thing, was how is ROH getting a women's title before a third women's title before AEW's main roster is, which is why I am wondering Is it because the women's championship is about to disappear, like Chris Jericho made the ROH title disappear for months? And is it because Athena is taking it with her and she's not dropping it to anybody, which I will be pissed about if she doesn't put anybody over on her way up to the roster? Or is it because Mercedes is going to continue the belt collector gimmick and they're going to give it to her? And then Mercedes will defend that title, but probably not on ROH television.
Yeah, probably on a
probably
pay-per-view.
on an AEW pay-per-view as the ROH champion is probably what would happen there. So,
I mean, I guess Billy Starks could beat her on AEW pay-per-view to take that thing and then bring it back.
But then she needs to be. But if they're calling her up to the main roster, which it kind of seems like they are calling her up to the main roster,
it really does.
Then, and that defeats the purpose as well. So I don't know where this is going. I know, let it play out. But my first reaction was, what are we doing? Like, I literally laughed when I saw it because I was like, what do you mean they're getting a pure title? Like, yay, I'm excited, but also like,
I was just confused.
How is this gonna work? With what we're doing here.
I mean, I don't know enough, but I know enough from listening to you, and I know enough from like reading and stuff. I'm not like way out of the loop, and I was like, but why?
Yeah. Ron says that he can sign Kanji from Rev Pro. She's worked with Diva Diana recently, and Kanji is who Mercedes is wrestling next weekend, or actually this coming weekend, rather. Yeah, this coming weekend. She is defending the undisputed British Women's Championship. So those other two titles that Mercedes carries, she's defending them against Kanji this weekend.
That's the third belt. That's the Rev Pro belt. That's what I always forget. It's the Rev Pro belt.
Yeah, Brad says, honestly, no company is signing 20 to 30 people in any division. That's a lot of talent to bring in for anything.
It's a lot of money.
Still, the point
in this economy.
I get what he means by that. And yes, and yeah, I like Laurent says, I like the idea of a women's title, pure title in ROH. The problem is ROH's women's rosters only have like 12 women, and 3 of them are going to be singles champion. That's a huge problem. Fernando says, Diana. Laurent says, too bad Layla Hirsch is no longer there. She would have been a good fit for that title. She would have. She sure would have. Maybe they'll bring her back for this. I don't know. But yeah, and see, that's what I was thinking, because I bring that up every once in a while. I'm like, where is Ty Mello? Perhaps that's maybe she can wrestle a pure style. I don't know. And I don't know how it'll be really interesting to see. Biddy the Bear says, good afternoon, everyone. I'd put the ROH title on La Catalina and move Red Velvet Story towards the world title. That is certainly something they could do, because La Catalina they've been using more frequently. It sounds like she's going to be involved more often. So I could see them putting the TV title on her, because my initial reaction was Taya, that they would put the TV title on her. But that is something that they could do. They could put La Catalina and give that title to her, and then have Red Velvet, because Red Velvet has been with ROH pretty much from the start since under Tony. Cool. So that is definitely somebody that they could do. Oh God, yeah, Marina would be incredible.
Well, that's her jam. That's her wheelhouse anyway.
She'd be really good at that. Brad says women from Stardom and CMLL can be brought in through the pure rules matches. Yeah, I definitely see them utilizing. Maybe that's part of the reason they're doing this, is to kind of use that as their version of an international championship, and it could be taken other places. I'd
be okay. I mean, not watching actively, but I mean, that seems like a reasonable compromise, I guess.
Ruby just had a baby in December, so she is not going to be around anytime soon. I don't know what her time frame is, but she had the baby right before Christmas. Yes, and we did see Ange back on TV last night, only to get decimated all over again. Not as bad as poor Daddy Magic.
Yeah.
But I was like, oh, I was like, yay, Daddy Magic is back. Oh, no, Ange is back. And I was like, oh, no, they're going to murder him too. Brad says, in regards to Ty Mello, I know that we want answers or where people are, but she could be happy being at home with her daughter as fans. We want to see the top, and sometimes they want to be in that role, which is fair. But also she wrestled at Stardom, so it seemed like that's what she was doing, that she was getting ready to. And we've seen a lot of women disappear from TV, like Nyla Rose, just because creative has nothing for them. So I didn't know if that was the same type of thing. And Brad could be right. Maybe Ty just wants to be a mom, which is perfectly fine. And, and that is her business. But I think some of it was just like, these women we keep disappearing from TV. Is it because creative has nothing for them? The same thing.
Well, essentially, is it for legitimate reasons,
me all the time,
or is it for weird reasons?
Where is Scorpio? He's wrestling an indie show soon. He's wrestling in California. He's wrestling on a show with I think Big Teets is on that show that he's on, because I've seen Teets post the poster in his story.
Nice. And
I think that's where I've seen it. Yeah, the same with Becky, who Becky just said yesterday. Said she was at some event and said, she said I don't wrestle anymore. WrestleMania is this weekend. My husband will be there. Maybe I'll come back one day. So is this I'm playing the crowd, don't think I'm coming, and then she's really going to show up at WrestleMania this weekend or at the Raw after Mania on Monday? Or is she legitimately just like, I like being a mom. I'm doing acting things. I'm doing things outside of WWE that keep me busy and fulfilled. And no, I'm not coming back to wrestling anytime soon.
To be perfectly frank, I'd rather be in Ireland than America right now.
Nikki said, yeah, because as soon as I told Nikki about it, Nikki said, so she's going to be at Mania. Probably. So one theory was that she will challenge Charlotte when Charlotte wins the title on this weekend. That's been a theory. But then I was like, then that would be a super short reign for Charlotte. But then if they're trying to get Charlotte to passing her dad's record, she's only like 2 or 3 wins away. So she can have, I wouldn't be surprised if they give her short little titles so that she can surpass her dad.
Well, I guess the way to bring Becky back would be to give her a big giant moment. So
yeah, I could see her coming back either this weekend or on Monday at the Raw after Mania. But again, it is very possible that she just likes being a mom and doing
they have
other
socialized education there. It's beautiful. They have early childhood care. They have maternity care. I mean, she's probably just a happy living on
LaRon says LaRon thinks that she's trolling us. Vinkin thinks she's retired. Either or could be possible at this point.
It's wrestling, so never say never.
Nikki's got it right there. I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if she's done, at least for the moment, but wrestlers love to lie.
That's what they do.
Guess who taught them how to lie?
Oh, yeah.
Cody Rhodes is the one who taught Bryan Danielson how to lie, and he loves it.
Bryan Danielson flat told us he loves to lie, so.
Right. So
never believe Bryan Danielson completely. Be wary.
I can think of one that I don't want to talk about. There's one who wrestles in TNA. Her dad and her stepfather are famous wrestlers. Of course, there's Charlotte. And then we have a Rebel. Yes, there is a Rebel in New Japan who is a 4th generation wrestler. Whoa. And David Finlay.
Correct. Yeah, man. He goes all the way back.
He's got 4 whole generations.
Yeah. He's one of the first British wrestlers. His great granddad is one of the first wrestlers I've read about. Because I read that British wrestling book, and he was quite a bit of it.
Yeah,
as you imagine.
I bet he was.
Yeah. Yeah. Exactly.
Boss Norman. Yes, Boss Finley. Yes, and Kevin Von Erich's sons, who miraculously found their way to ROH last week to wrestle with Dustin Rhodes against Violence is Forever and Davey Banks.
Were they in Georgia or Texas?
Neither.
Oh, that's nice then.
Yes, and Sting's son is learning how to wrestle. At one point, he was living in a tent in Darby Allin's yard, in his front yard. That was
that's right. They do ROH tapings before Dynamite and Collision now, don't they?
Right. That's the first time they've been. That is the first time they have been on TV since September. They haven't defended those titles since August. Because again, we can't do interim titles in ROH. Apparently, we're allergic to that. And so the titles have not been defended. Currently, MXM stole one of Sons of Texas's Dustin Rhodes and Sammy Guevara. They are the tag team champions.
Okay.
And so they stole one of the titles, had it around for a few months, took the title. They finally got the title back. Well, now they have one of the trios titles.
Oh, God.
So it appears that, or no, I know they called them out. And so I guess this week, Dustin and the Von Erichs have called out MXM and Johnny TV. I assume this is setting up for the trios match at Supercard, because Supercard is in 3 weeks and we have 0 matches announced.
Awesome. Brad.
Yes, that is true. Brody Lee's sons is training at Natty's Dungeon. Yes, Brody is there every single week. Nolan is there a lot, just doing stuff. But
that's so cute. I didn't know Negative One was training at the dungeon. That's so adorable.
At Natty's Dungeon, yes, Brody Lee trains there every week. I mean, Brody Lee Jr. or Brody.
Yes,
not Junior, but Brody. He is there every week. Amanda posts it in her stories all the time. And then Nolan is down there all the time. Apparently, he's learned to cut promos.
Cute.
So, yes, Shota is Red Shoes is the New Japan, the very famous New Japan referee. Shota is his son and John Moxley's wrestling son. Even though they're on the outs right now.
Yeah, he has beef with Pops.
Yes, and then. Brad said, wait, but Darby climbing him out. Did anyone let Sting's son know? Does he have access to Darby's bathroom and kitchen for food? Hope he's okay in that tent. These are the real questions, Brad. We need to, somebody ask Tony Khan. I guess that will be me.
Somebody send some sort of transmission.
When I get on the Supercard on our media call, I will ask. Actually, but he should be. Will he be done by then?
How long does that take? Tracker on him. Also,
yeah, because he's getting ready. He climbs Mount Everest starting on the 15th
of May.
Know if he'll be back
or of April or of May. Oh wow!
It's 2 days from now, Tuesday.
Goodness.
And then Supercard is May 2nd. I don't know how long does it take to climb?
I can't remember. I used to know.
Obviously, it could depend on many factors. So I know it could be arranged, but
it's more than a week. I think it's like
a while, right?
Yeah, it's like 6 or something. I mean, like 6 to 8 days or something. I can't.
Who
remember.
would like to do some research and find
somebody Google it for me?
I
used to know because I when I was living out west, so Mount Rainier, which you can see from the city of Seattle.
Yes.
But it's many, many, many miles away, is actually, and because it's so high, people use Mount Rainier to train for.
I've heard that.
So we had lots of climbers up and around the area all the time because Rainier is a training ground for Everest and K2. So, and it's huge. I mean, and people die just going out on the lake because if you go into the park a little ways, there's what they call snowfields.
Mm-hmm.
And anyone who knows anything about this is people are like, look, it's like just snow, but there's this. And then people end up treading too far. And it's like, now you're in a blizzard because you are like at 14,000 or 10,000 feet. I mean, that mountain's huge. I've got a picture of it on my desktop because it's one of my favorite. My favorite thing about, I learned this and I'm sure I've mentioned it before is Mount Fuji is like that in Tokyo. And they call him Fuji-san,
right?
Which I love. They they refer to. I'm like, I love that. I'm gonna call it Rainier-san from now on. If I so great. Yeah, we did rock climb. That's true. We did our bit of rock climbing. I mean, it's dangerous. It's not. Like we know a little bit about it.
Like I said last week, we are all just assuming that he's gonna make it through this and he will be here.
I mean, it's not as easy.
We are making a lot of statements assuming that he survives Mount Everest.
Well, we wish him luck is the thing. Is that he wanted to do it, and
we've made it. I was like, but we were also making a lot of assumptions that he'll be back, and we need to make sure this man makes it off of Mount Everest before we start putting him in matches.
It's not simple. I mean,
no, and then he has to recover from getting down and get in and reshape. Like it's a process.
Yeah.
No, Maria, I guess fortunately I did not see Gunther's statement that Triple H saved wrestling.
And Bill Maher is putting over Ding Dong in president, so whatever.
Triple H nearly killed wrestling in these parts. We talk about that often.
That happened here. So,
we are so sorry that happened because we all saw it coming, no matter what Pete Dunne tried to say. We all
happened to us too.
We could see it a mile away, sadly.
Yeah.
And that's why we're a little worried about some of the other stuff that they're currently doing. Even though some people
I miss Keith Lee.
I do too. I hope he's doing well.
Me too.
Whatever is going on, I hope he's doing great, and I hope he's just having a good day.
Me too.
And he's learning new amazing words and putting it in his vernacular and impressing his friends with it. Because I miss him very much. Brad says, I wonder, Bandito gave his mom the title and said she's the real champion. It is true. He did say that. Will she show up on her club more than previous world champions? I mean, probably. She's already been on AEW television, AEW programming twice. Why not?
Why not, Brad?
It's that they love rock climbing.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, I don't like it. Yeah, we used to do it in a gym, and one of my favorite things to do was just scramble because I'm small, so I would use the scramble wall a lot, which is just free climbing.
Mm-hmm.
But we did a fair bit of the scaling and stuff too. It is, and it's good for you. I don't know. I liked the vibe. It's not like going to a regular gym. The people there are all levels, and a good rock climbing gym is a welcoming environment for any level.
Sure.
Because they just want they just like with us, we want people to enjoy our thing. It's like I was even saying to someone last night, and I've told you this before, but it was cool because it was another person that was part of the CCW crew, and I was like, I just love watching the new people discovering that they like it, and they were like, me too.
Yeah.
Because everyone thinks it's like, oh, it's fake, it's silly, but then there's always it catches people, and they're like, oh crap, I really like this. I'm going to have to reevaluate that fake statement.
Yes. Also, I just realized we're 140 minutes or an hour and 40 minutes into the show.
And we haven't really gotten to anything.
No. We've talked about important things.
We kind of have.
We haven't even discussed what we thought of Dynasty. So, Mel, what did you think of the Dynasty pay-per-view?
I liked it, but I wasn't as happy about it. It wasn't as good as, say, Revolution. I would say that of the pay-per-views that I've seen, not that it didn't deliver, and I don't regret spending my $50. Sure. There were plenty of great matches on it. I thought the Kenny match was great. Kyle Fletcher was great. It felt like at some point in the night, the pacing fell off. And it sucked that happened. And I think that we all know where it happened. We were discussing it in our live thread in our Discord. And as we were giving out to Garrett, I said, I can hear John LaRocca groaning right now.
Doesn't he just permanently groan about everything?
Well, but that match in particular was a John LaRocca groaner special, I think. But so I don't, again, AEW, I've never regretted paying for an AEW.
No, me either.
But I would not put this even in the top 10 of my AEW pay-per-views.
There's a lot of pay-per-views to choose from to put in your top 10. So, I wouldn't base it necessarily on, still, even though I had hated the finish to the main event at Revolution, I still would say that is a 9 out of 10 pay-per-view, like everything else. I thought this pay-per-view was solid I enjoyed a lot of it. We were correct. The match of the night was Kenny versus Speedball versus Ricochet. Easily stole that. While I enjoyed Daniel Garcia versus Adam Cole, I felt like the first two were better than that one. And I can't put my finger on why exactly that is. I thought it was a solid match. But those first two really delivered in a way that this one didn't, and I don't know why. And I was happy with Adam Cole winning. I thought I predicted on the show that he would win.
Made sense.
I predicted on the show that he would win. So I don't know why, but because I felt the first out of their trilogy that they've had most recently, 2 of those were on TV, and those 2 were excellent. And I feel like the one that got stopped by Shane Taylor Promotions, that match was probably the best of the 3. And it's unfortunate that one didn't quite live up to what those 2 were. Not that it was a bad match, it just, considering what we had seen from them this far, I had wanted that to be better. But I am excited that Adam Cole is the new champion. I'm glad the chat was correct. Anthony Bowens was the return against Max Caster. He looks great. I love the new gear. I love obviously all the baseball references.
Yeah, that was a lot of fun. I actually, Sam must be loving this. Not only did he beat up, but not only did he continue beating up Max Caster, but he made a bunch of baseball references.
Yes,
too.
And then he had the baseball reference last night because he wrestled. He and Blake Christian had a really good match last night in Collision. Blake Christian looked great, I thought, as well. And he even said, so he said after one, who's going to step up to the plate. So I appreciate all the baseball references. We're combining 2 of my favorite things in baseball and wrestling. So I'm enjoying the new Anthony Bowen stuff. I'm really excited for his solo run. Yeah. Yes, Tony and Megan was magical.
Yeah, it was great.
If I was disappointed about anything, it was the fact that they didn't have Megan win here. I think that
was interesting.
I don't think it was a wrong choice.
No,
because you can't go wrong with Tony as champion. However, I think this was one of the few times that you can use that to make somebody a star. And I think that Megan Bayne should have won that match. So I was annoyed by that, but not to the point where it didn't take anything from the show or anything like that. But I just felt like potentially in this opportunity, obviously we'll see how this plays out. And I'm sure they've got something else going on with Tony. Like, I understand why she won. Like, so I'm not, and I love Tony and part of me wants her to be champion forever. But on the other hand, it's time to get that title away from her.
Well, so it has to happen sooner or later.
It's gotta happen. But I thought the matches were really good. The main event, I knew Swerve was not. I said on this show, Swerve is not going to win, and people are going to be real pissed about it, and they're gonna however it happens, they're going to be really mad about it. And yes, they were. A lot of them played themselves. Which, listen, it happens. I have played myself with wrestling plenty of times. I know the feeling. It sucks. But what I liked about this one is that I did not see the Bucks coming. I did not see their involvement at all. And I think that made it, for me, it made it better just because I didn't see it coming. And I was like, and what I was thinking, I was like, okay, so now we have the Spring Breakthrough is next week. They're getting ready to break this TV record. All of the elite will be on TV. We have the Bucks and Kenny who are back on TV, and they should be on TV for this historic moment because without the 3 of them, AEW would not exist. And so all 3 of them need to be on TV for this moment. And so that's kind of where I was thinking about it. Then I saw some videos and they pointed out that the Young Bucks, or I saw some tweets and then some clips too, the Young Bucks were trying to take over AEW and they failed at it. So Death Riders have been a little bit more successful at it. Then they showed the clip where Death Riders were in the ring and they're just wreaking havoc, and the Bucks and Okada are just standing on the ramp, letting it all happen. And we thought, oh, they're afraid of them. But is it perhaps because they have been working together this entire time? Because they do love their long-term storytelling. They are known for it. That's what their first 2 years were nothing but long-term storytelling. So has this been? So I've seen that argument, oh, they're just trying to retcon this. But if you go to AEW's history and the type of storytelling that they do, this is on brand for what this type of stories they tell. So I would not be surprised if this has been the story we had just missed it. Because, they always say, pay attention to the details, which I can understand. So some people they heard that All In promo, and you can hear there's different voiceovers. Swerve is on it. Adam Page is on it. Willow is on it. Hangman, Hangman is on it. Jon Moxley is not. So people heard that and thought Swerve and Hangman. That must mean they're wrestling at All In, which I think they are, but not in the way that we think. And so as this is all unfolding, I was like, they're setting up for Anarchy in the Arena. That's what this is. That I was like, this is and then I was like, because then you have the ops get involved. And I was like, okay, this is where this whole match and what is happening right now is setting up for Anarchy in the Arena. Because I believe Doug looked it up, and the arena that they are at in Phoenix is an actual arena. So, I mean, I guess they could technically do Stadium Stampede, but it seems like this whole thing was to move that forward, and that we're going to get. So I do think Swerve and Hangman are going to end up on the same side, at least for Anarchy in the Arena. Then we're going to do the can they coexist thing.
Yeah.
Because it was interesting. The Young Bucks said on Wednesday, we did this for Hangman. He's our good friend. He didn't want Swerve to win that title. We kept it from happening because we're such good friends. This is what we've done. And Hangman doesn't want any part of it. So I feel like I think this is the setup for that. Then someone said, now I can't stop thinking about it, and I'm wondering, I think this might be where we're going. Somebody thinks that the wild card is going to be Jack Perry, and this is how we bring him back.
Interesting.
That's against Hangman. So
okay,
are they trying to screw Hangman out of a title shot because he's going to be ungrateful for what they've done? So they're going to screw him out of a title shot. Or is Swerve going to cost him? Is Swerve going to get mad and be like, because Hangman said, Hangman he told Nana, like, I wasn't trying to help him, but also so I can't tell if Swerve is going to be the one to cost Hangman, or if it's going to be, they're going to put Jack Perry in and have Jack Perry. But of course, then I don't think Jack Perry may sit past the final, but then that's how you get all of the elite back on TV during this really important thing with surpassing Nitro. You have the entire elite back on TV. Then you have the interesting moment where Kenny Omega just walked right past Okada. Okada came out after the match on Sunday, and he had no time for his shit, and he just left him. He wouldn't even acknowledge Okada, which I think Okada is going to give, I think that's going to play into the, Anarchy in the Arena. I feel like, it'll be Swerve and Kenny. I think I had the teams laid out, and I should have written them down because now I have blanked on who, because it was Swerve, Hangman, Kenny. You could do the ops there too. And then on the other side, it's basically going to be the Young Bucks and the Death Riders.
Okay, so you think Death Riders and the Bucks are going to unite, and that the elite is not getting back together?
Oh no, no.
That's long. If
Kenny,
that ever happens, I don't think long off.
No, because you can't have Kenny and Okada are going to wrestle.
Yeah, you're right.
You can't have the two of them being on the same side.
Yeah, you're right. That's right. Okada is what yep.
No, so I think, and Kenny doesn't like what they've been doing. I mean, Kenny called them, he compared them to shit stains.
You're right.
You are right. And somebody was talking about how Kenny, they were like, Kenny's promo was low energy. And I was like, I think Kenny doesn't have time for the Bucks bullshit. And so he met them with the energy that he has for them, which is not very much.
Yeah.
And so I think that's my theory. I could be completely wrong, but my theory is this is all setting up for Anarchy in the Arena, and that Jack Perry could be the wild card and cost Hangman, because Hangman is not grateful for what they did for him. And so they're going to take him out of there and be like, well, if you don't want that title shot, we're going to take it from you. And so then I could see it's either going to be Swerve and Hangman against each other at All In, or Swerve and Hangman are going to be teaming up against the Bucks at All In. I think it's going to be one of the two things that they're doing. So we're still getting Swerve and Hangman, just not for the title at All In. That is my theory there. Let's see. Let me get some. I saw that Anthony Bowen's using Jane's Addiction theme for his theme was awesome. Yeah, apparently Anthony said he's been wanting to use that song as a wrestling theme for years. And he finally was able to get that, which is really cool. Vinkin says only one champion reign should be forever. Is it Athena? Fernando says the Dynasty was fire until the finish. The Bucks involvement makes no sense, and the explanation on Dynamite was worse. I've seen that theory too, that some people didn't hate it. Yes, this coming Dynamite is the one that breaks the WCW record. That's the whole reason they're doing the spring breakthrough is in Boston. Also, so then they're doing Thunder Thursday Collision because they don't want to go up against WrestleMania. Like he said, I thought about the Bucks returning a few times that day, but once the pay-per-view started, I forgot about them, which she did tell me. She was like, wait a minute, I thought about them. Fernando says that Kenny's promo was terrible. Hangman and Swerve are going to join forces and help Will Ospreay win the championship. Yeah, I can definitely see that happening. It's the second. Oh, he said, yep. He said, yep, it's Athena. Doesn't change that she's losing to Mercedes in the semis. Yes. David told you to check out some promotion in Minnesota.
Oh, cool.
Kevin Knight has been crushing it and is the future of AEW. I am so happy that people are getting to see Kevin Knight.
Me too.
He has taken this opportunity and he has ran with it. He has been killing it. And I guess because he didn't have to tweet as much in New Japan, I didn't realize how funny he is until I've seen him interacting with like Ricochet and Leo Rush and things like that. He's really funny, nice. Which I think, is really cool to see that side of him, which I did not know about. And also, Renee had a story, well, it was on AEW's thing, but I thought when I was watching her story, she's interviewing Kevin Knight. Kevin Knight apparently was not into wrestling. He was into bowling. Because his family bowled. And she was like, then she said, I've never met a professional bowler. And I was like, James Drake is right there, ma'am. James Drake bowls professionally all the time.
That's fantastic. I was like,
now when James Drake is cleared and healthy, I need him and Kevin Knight to have a match, and then I also need them to bowl against each other.
Fantastic.
And then I need somebody to film that just for me.
Yes, please.
Maria says Anthony Bowens is going to finish his own story, will become the first gay world champion. I can absolutely see that. He posted the picture the other day of the TNT title. That seems to be what he has his eyes set on next, and I think he would be a fantastic TNT champion. I mean, I don't think Adam Cole's going to be like a transitional champion or anything, but I would love to see Anthony Bowens, and even as world champion too, like beyond the TNT, I would love to see. I think Anthony Bowens is great. I think he has I think getting him on his own is the best thing that they could have done for him. He said she thought the same thing about James Drake when she saw it. Yeah, because she's like, I've never met a professional bowler. I was like, you do know James Drake though, don't you? Because James Drake's
kayfabe, you guys.
Yes, me too. Yeah,
it's nice. I'm glad for him. It's the right thing right now.
I will bring this up. Well, we're gonna get to Windy City. Did you get to watch Windy City Riot?
I did not get to.
Okay.
So. You can, but I did
get to it. The Young Bucks had a promo that aired during Windy City Riot, and they called out the War Dogs.
Oh.
But then said they had some old original members of the Bullet Club that they were going to have to contact. So I guess they're bringing in the Good Brothers.
Oh, dear God.
Yeah. Not thrilled about that.
I didn't even think about that.
Well, Carl Anderson has been hinting at stuff lately. Like he's been posting, people I've seen screenshot his bio, and like when the EVPs came back, he put EVPs in a kissy face.
They're friends with a lot of
Carl
people.
Carl put something and put like G1 2025 or something in in the bio one time. Somebody had a sign the other night so that they missed Sour Boy, which I do not. I hate that character so much. I hate the Sour Boy character. I can't stand it. I hate it. I am not really looking forward to that, but it feels like that's what's happening. Also, but it also seems like the Good Brothers are also about to show up in MLW. They had a big show the other week, and somebody posted there was something that had a vignette that aired during the show that very much hints at the Good Brothers heading to MLW. But yeah, it sounds like they're going to be involved at Resurgence, I guess.
All right.
That's what they're doing with this.
Can't they just do another Talking Shop-a-mania and stay on the sidelines?
Yeah, just I am good. I can only handle them in small amounts. I cannot. I don't enjoy. That was the one thing I did not like on being the elite. I could only handle them in small increments, and then they got on my nerves. I'm like, please get them off my TV. Give me all the Talking Shop-a-manias. I love that stuff, and then
that's where
that's
they
all
flourish.
That's it for me. I can't. I can only handle them in really small bits.
That's that's the perfect environment and the right amount of good brothers at Talking Shop-a-mania.
Yeah, I can only handle them.
Yeah.
So, so apparently I don't know what that means as far as AEW involvement, but it sounds like at least for their resurgent show at on May 9th, I think is that show. Sounds like they're doing something there. So yeah. But before we get to more Windy City Riot, we will get to the Owen Cup. Oh, unless you had anything you wanted to add about the Young Bucks being on TV and their perhaps alignment with Death Riders, because Death Riders
makes actually a lot more. So that makes sense, and if that's the story, which I hope it is, I don't mind that.
Yes,
that's good.
Yeah, I hope I'm not just fantasy booking, because that will make it more palatable.
Well, either way, I mean,
I think that's what's happening.
If this was the plan all along, awesome. If it wasn't, they can certainly lean into the fact that it was. It wouldn't be the worst idea ever. It's like, we tried, we failed. So we've been like, we use this other group of really powerful people in AEW to do it. And that is a fun.
Well, because we saw them, they were shredding all those documents and things like that, which seemed like it.
Because that can start a new story that like kicks off a new storyline.
Yes, and again, even if this is basically to set up anarchy in the arena, and then it kind of splinters off if they're going to do the Young Bucks versus Swerve and Hangman at all, because you can't have All In and not have
all the people.
You can't have, like, they've got to figure. That's what you got to get them on there somehow. And starting now makes sense,
especially since it's the first stadium show here in America. So
yes. Right, exactly. Brad says the Pride of Pro Wrestling is such an awesome moniker. Yeah, I really like that. And I like the fact. So the other day, Max Caster tweeted something, and it was related to his, greatest wrestler, best wrestler alive. And Anthony quote tweeted it, and he said, "Until the bell rang." I was like, damn, Anthony, you didn't have to kill him like that. You didn't have to carry and cross him like Adam Cole did. Good Lord.
Murder.
Yes, the Harley and the Puppet segment with Mercedes on Dynamite was great. That was a really great moment. And then also, speaking of that because last night Tony got this great promo on everybody. Each one of the Chris Statlander, she just said, "What a woman!
What a woman!"
Just, moved on, but her thing was like, she said, "You should call me Jim Henson because I'm gonna wear you on my wrist."
And sing Rainbow Connection.
And yes, I was like, and Luther's face was perfect. And then also the part about how the CEO was such an unfortunate nickname because she was going to drain her 401k and make her so poor she'd have to drink her bath water.
And
Luther was like making this face like, oh my God, like that.
Tony.
She's so great. I love her. That was really good. But yeah, so
amazing.
The Owen Hart is well underway. We didn't really get to talk about the bracket because we had to go right into Dynasty preview last week, and we were getting some of the matches. And so now we've had a few matches, and so like Brody and Takeshita, I thought had a really great match. There's a lot of New Japan false finishes, which was great. And of course, Takeshita won. So Takeshita will be facing Will Ospreay, right? And that who he faces next is Ospreay on Wednesday. I think that's right. And then Kyle Fletcher faces the winner of Hangman versus Wildcard, right? I believe. Okay. So that'll be interesting. So I guess they could potentially be doing Kyle versus Jack Perry.
Jack Perry. Interesting.
Maybe. So that'll be be really because if it's not Jack Perry and it's not Josh Alexander, I'm not sure who it would be.
I mean, maybe a CMLL wrestler somebody like that.
Yeah, maybe it's Dutch Acero.
A Fantasticomania coming around soon, or maybe so they might throw a CMLL wrestler in the mix. Is possible.
Maybe they've been doing a lot of CMLL ROH crossovers too. Brody and Takesha F so hard. I think I'm pregnant now, or now pregnant. I mean, congrats,
Brad.
Congratulations!
I'm feeling that.
That match was so good, though.
It was good.
It made me because when I saw that, I was like, oh hell yeah, all this is on Collision. Then I'm like, damn it, I have to cover it all, which was the same thing because I didn't see that Kevin Knight versus AR Fox got announced prior to the show, because when I was getting my preview ready, it had not been announced yet, so it was announced after that. So I didn't know it was coming. Kevin Knight comes out, and I was like, God damn, this was unannounced. So I found out later it had been announced. And then I was like, oh, who's he facing? And I was like, AR Fox. I was like, hell yes, this match is going to be awesome. And then I was like, I have to cover it. And they're going to do all kinds of things in it. And it's going to be great. But also, I'm super annoyed because now I have to cover it. But it was...
I have to write insecure over and over. And that's a hard word to write over and over.
It is. So I was like, Tony, however... Thank goodness. I'm glad that you were continuing to book AR Fox because he is fantastic and
great.
Really great. But yeah, so back to the Owen. Obviously, the Owen played out exactly how we thought it was going to. There were the matches were good. I have no problems with that. It was very obvious how we were getting here. We're getting Chris versus Jamie. I thought Jamie and Billy had a really great match. They got 14 minutes.
And Billy Jamie really helped Billy, because if they're leveling Billy up, those are the kind of people she needs to face to get in the picture. And that's exactly So, I mean, Jamie is exactly who she should have been facing in this situation.
And she's already wrestled Jamie. She wrestled her 2 weeks ago, and now Jamie has beaten her twice.
Jamie really looks like she's clearly there. The women's division right now is like the veterans, the people that are really good at this, are trying to put the younger women over here. It's
right. Exactly.
Looks creative. It looks collaborative. It's nice.
Yeah. Yeah, I would agree with that. And so I thought their match was really good. And then, of course, we had Athena versus Harley. And granted, it only lasted 10.5 minutes. Athena should also be beating someone with less than 75 matches or around 75 matches. She should probably be beating him in them and less, but she gave Harley a lot, which makes me think that they think a lot. That shows that they think a lot of Harley, to not only, obviously they do, because they trusted her to have, I mean, I know Mercedes is the one who advocated for that match, but they clearly trusted Mercedes and Harley to have that match in Australia. And I think they trusted Harley to have a match with Athena in a huge spot.
Well, I mean, Harley was getting nuclear heat. She was so over that people wanted to put a championship on her,
right?
And then she went away. But I think Mercedes and Athena are well aware of that heat, so they're bringing her back into the picture. Like, remember, you guys love her. Like,
yeah,
there's a lot there. I feel like, I mean, for whatever it is, whatever say they have, I feel like those two are like, we want to do it this way, and this is the way. Like, they're elevating those, even though they're beating them. They're not beating them like ugly. They're putting on matches.
Yeah, and I mean, that's been a lot of Athena's run in ROH, has been her putting over younger talent. And even obviously they weren't getting wins over her, but she was giving them a lot and was bringing them up with her instead of saying, you're not on my level, you can't come up here with me. She's like, climb up another level, get closer to me.
Work
if
harder.
You want to be this good, you have to
fight me.
Yeah, exactly. And so I feel like, you know, Athena had been doing that for a while in ROH, and I can see her doing that over on the main roster, or on AEW. They're still, I want to say main roster. They're obviously two different things.
But I think that we all sort of feel that way, whether we like it or not.
Right. Yeah. And Venkin says you don't need to make them beat you. Right. I mean, you just elevate them enough. Right. Exactly. Give them enough offense. Make it believable. Make me think.
Okada's great at that. John Moxley is great at it.
Make me think that they have a chance. Like, of course, I'm looking at it. I know Harley is not going to beat Athena because of the story they're telling. However, you can make me. You can convince me, like, hey, you know what? If this hadn't been a cup match, I could have seen Harley beating Athena.
Yep.
you know, or if that had not been a title match in Australia, I could have seen Harley potentially beating Mercedes. Like, you can see those things. And
the momentum. Yeah.
Yeah. And Benkin says Kyrie did that and started before beating them. Right.
Awesome.
Yes. And so it's doable. And I like to see that women are elevating other women instead of holding them down. Because there are certain women wrestlers who do that. Well, and obviously men's too. Yeah, and Nikki said the same thing. They did that with Brody and Takeshita. Like, we all knew going into this, Mark Briscoe is not winning, and neither is Brody King. But they both go out there and make you think, and Takeshita made me think a couple times that, well, hell, maybe they are going to make Brody. If this weren't a tournament match, Brody could have beaten Takeshita. So I thought that's a really good point, Nikki. Yes, I'm really looking forward to, I mean, even if they are obvious matches, the matches are still going to be good. And so on Wednesday in Boston, we are getting the dream match. We are getting Mercedes Moné versus Athena one-on-one for the first time ever in Mercedes' hometown.
Yeah, that's going to be fun.
On one of the biggest dynamites in AEW's history, because this show is surpassing Nitro. That is a big damn deal. And to have this match there says a lot. I hope they are main eventing. I hope you close your show with Mercedes beating Athena. And I love Athena, but I feel like I feel like this is where we're going. I think they're going to get Athena to that title in a different way, or not to that title, get to Texas for something else, or to do something else. But I feel like Mercedes has to win this. I don't think Mercedes is losing it. However, if Athena were to win, to have Athena beat Mercedes in her hometown in the main event of Dynamite would be huge, if that's where the story they wanted to tell. However, I don't think that's the story they're telling. I think Mercedes is going to win this. I think they're doing Mercedes versus Tony at All In. But you have to figure out how to get Athena on that show. Athena has to be. Is it with the ROH World title? I don't know. But then there's Chris and Jamie. And a lot of people want Jamie, and because you can tell this, Jamie and Tony have history. You could do Jamie versus Tony at All In. You could also do Chris versus Tony at All In. And Chris seems to really, Tony seems to really think a lot of her, the way she talks about Chris. So they really have four excellent options for Tony. And I think that you could make an argument for each woman being the person to face Tony at All In, which I think is really nice to see, because that means you've built up your women enough that you could have any of these women make sense for what you're going to do at All In. What are your thoughts? Do you think Mercedes beats Athena, or do you think Athena beats Mercedes?
I think Mercedes wins this. I think it's going to be a banger. I think they'll be excellent. I think it's Mercedes. I think that you have been saying for a long time that they were going to meet here and then meet later. And I know that she doesn't have the title yet, but there's time, I guess. But it just, I don't know. It makes more sense that Athena has to come back and beat Mercedes later on. I think that could be what they're doing here. And then what do you think about Chris and Jamie? Who do you think wins between the two of them? As much as I want it to be stat, I think they may go with Jamie because of just her status and the fact that she needs to get back in the mix, because she is on the level of being, and plus Forbidden Door is also in London this year. So that's a lot of them wrestled in Progress and Rev Pro and things like that. So they're known there. There might be something.
True. That's a good point. I didn't think about that.
A long-term booking for Forbidden Door in Wembley as well. So
yeah. I hadn't thought about that factor, but that is something really to think about for sure with how they do that.
Because a lot of those, I know they're from Australia, but Toni Storm did wrestle in Progress. That was where I saw her. I saw her. So
I know Chris is a heavy fan favorite, and I get it, but I think Jamie. But I don't know. I almost think Chris needs it more because of the stories they've been telling with her.
Probably does need it more. And maybe that's why they put her versus Jamie, because that's a huge win for Chris. And Tony is saying things like, what a woman. So maybe she is scared of her and they want to move her through.
Yeah, like when she was on commentary, like she was talking about how big Chris's thighs were and like just talking about her, like, so obviously there's an attraction there that they're kind of building.
It'd be a huge upset.
And so
fundamentally.
Yeah. I mean, I feel like Jamie is probably who they're going with, but I almost think Chris needs that win more. But whatever happens, they have to keep momentum going on the person who doesn't win. Because these four women are kind of at the core of what you're doing with the women's, besides obviously Tony, but Mercedes, Athena, Jamie, Chris, they're kind of at the core of what you're doing and moving forward with the women's division. So you can't leave them behind. And then at some point, Willow is still in this. Obviously Willow took that. Willow was, she took the table spot and the paradigm shift from John Moxley. So she should be back soon-ish. I don't know how long they've written her off for. But Willow is still going to be in this mix with Marina, so they could do something with Willow versus Marina. Hopefully that matches. I mean, you could do it at Death Before. I mean, at Double or Nothing. Hopefully, is where they would do that. So Willow is also in this mix as well, regardless of what happens. So I'm really interested to see how they do this. And somebody ought to go to the comments because we have a lot of thoughts on what's going to happen here. Vinkin says that he thinks we're going to get a screw job. He thinks that something about a renegade helping Mercedes up before getting hit with the O-face seems to be intended. I mean, and that certainly is a good point, because when Mercedes beat Robin Renegade, Robin was going to help her, and Mercedes saw Athena about to hit the O-face and put Robin in the way to make Robin take the O-face so that she didn't have to. They have been rumored for months that she wants to work with the Renegades. So maybe Charlotte comes back. Charlotte has been off. She missed all of last year because she was injured. Perhaps Charlotte comes back and you think it's Robin. I mean, but it's really Charlotte. I mean, perhaps they do something with that. That's certainly something that can come into play here. Brad, on the other hand, says that he thinks Athena wins the match, but Jamie wins the entire tournament. Then Athena changes. Athena challenges Athena. He meant to say Mercedes at All In, which I could see that being the case too, and I kind of like that better. But I feel like, do you have Mercedes lose in her hometown? That's where I go back. But if anybody is going to be humble enough to take a loss for a match and for the greater good, it would be Mercedes losing to Athena. And Athena, it would make a huge statement for Athena to beat her in her hometown. But on the other hand, do you have Mercedes lose in her
Boston
hometown? Where you had her debut in Boston, in Bosstown. That's where you had her debut.
And she's more
have her lose there.
Much more over today than she was when she debuted there too.
Fair.
I mean, she's way more established now. People are starting to come around to her. They're seeing her value in the division and why Tony brought her on in the first place. I mean, I don't know.
And what kind of reaction would Athena get in Boston?
She might get booed out of the building in Boston.
I was gonna say, which they could do it. Like, I mean, it's a very, like, I don't think you had have a wrong winner.
Northeasterners are very sensitive about our towns.
So she's already a heel, but people have loved her. And she said on Collision, or before Collision, she said, just remember, you guys asked for this. You asked for me to come here. Don't be upset when I beat people that you like. That's basically where she was getting at with that. So I Make Beat says that he votes for the CEO to win the whole tournament. Renando says that Timeless versus Mercedes at All In, but winner takes all. Maria predicts that Jamie will win. So, I mean, there are...
I like the uncertainty factor. That's nice. It's nice to not actually know the outcome a little bit.
Especially when it involves some women.
Yeah.
It's a really nice thing to see because you could definitely you have arguments for all 4 women to win. And
I wouldn't be unhappy about any of those outcomes, to be perfectly frank.
No. But I do wonder, does Mercedes only beat Athena because she has help? Like, that is an interesting thing, that if Mercedes can't beat Athena clean,
yeah, that
would be an interesting story to tell. But then you have Billy. Like, I don't know that Billy is going to be like, Athena won and Billy lost. Athena is probably going to have some thoughts about that. Do we get Billy involved here? Do we let, is that going to start? Does she get involved? And then this sets up Billy versus Athena 3 at Supercard.
Just
there
don't
is that
make the first
possibility.
AEW women's main event a 4-way. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah.
That's all I am saying.
Yeah. Brad said, I just hate a winner take all idea. I do too. I don't like a winner take all here. Not with the stories they're telling. And then you lock the women's title has already been locked up between Tony and Mariah for almost 2 years.
Really
now.
Long time.
I don't like the idea of a winner take all, and I don't like the idea of I go back and forth because I like the belt collector. I love Mercedes having all these belts. That's why but I don't like the idea of her potentially taking the ROH title and then it never being on TV, being down in on ROH television. But I also don't like the idea of Athena never vacating that title either.
Yeah. And
so I would drop that title. But if they're calling Billy to the main roster, that's not going to be Billy. Then what are you doing? Which leads us back to that whole conversation we had last week and this week about it. There's just some, I agree with the winner. I'm not a fan of the winner take all idea. And it seems like there's rumors that they're going to merge the international championship and the continental championship. And I don't really like that idea either. I mean, I know there's a lot of titles, but the international championship was created because Warner Brothers wanted it. Yeah, the Continental Champion was created to give it to Eddie to be the first champion that had 3 titles at once, right. And then they broke those titles off and had them defended separately. And then, so I'm not thrilled about the idea, but I would if they're going to do it, I would rather them merge those titles than do a winner take all. But I don't necessarily want the winner. I don't necessarily want the international and the continental, but the continental has lost its meaning because it's not being defended. It's just on Okada, which is a weird thing to say just on Okada, but Okada barely
I know you mean.
He barely defends it. And Vinkin says that Mercedes is afraid. I think she is too. Which makes her it makes her dangerous, and B, makes her more likely to have outside help to defeat Athena because she thinks she can. Which will be interesting.
And it'll be interesting.
I'm just really looking forward to it.
I'm glad again that there is an element of I'm not sure. Like, that's fun. That's like very New Japan. I like that. I like not necessarily knowing the outcome for absolute certainty.
I just really hope that it means I really just hope they're getting that main event spot on Wednesday. And I think to put it on because of the story, because of the women it is, and to surpass WCW by having Black women at that main event, that's such a huge show, I think is the smart thing to do. But again, I'm not the booker, so we shall see. And then I'll just briefly touch on Windy City Riot since you did not get a chance to watch it. No I had to split it up because I had to do live coverage of SmackDown. So I watched a little bit of it. We watched the first we had to wait for the show because we flipped it over there. Takeshita and Tana were already wrestling. And so we had to wait on that match to end. And then it kept trying to restart us there. And so we figured out we had to take it off of live and go down to new release because we had to wait for it to be uploaded at midnight. And so we watched So we got through, like, we got halfway through the fourth match, which was Gabe Kidd versus Ishii, and it was really solid. Like, the match was going really great, and then it was a 30-minute Iron Man match, which also I didn't know that New Japan. I don't know if this happens elsewhere, but I don't know if anybody in the chat knows, are all of New Japan's Iron Man matches with falls? Because I didn't know they all of a sudden. They were like, we've been wrestling for 20 minutes and nobody's had a fall yet. And I was like, wait, it's an Iron Man. Why are they having falls? So I don't know if this is a New Japan thing or if it was the stipulation just for this match or what it was. So Miley was like dying to go outside. And then of course I get her outside and she suddenly doesn't have to go to the bathroom and she just wants to walk around. I spent 20 minutes out in the cold because it was chilly Friday night. And I should probably ask Jeremy or Steven.
That's true.
I will. I'm sure one of them will tell me, or could tell me. And so I could see part of it through the door, and Nikki paused it, and she filled me on what was happening. And they went into they went into sudden death, and I was like, "What do you mean they're doing sudden death in an Iron Man match? Like, what is happening?" So we watched the remaining 7 minutes of the match, and it was cool, but it was a little anticlimactic because I missed everything building up to that. So last night we went back and rewatched from where I missed it all the way to the end. Much more satisfying, even though I knew the outcome. I know you say you're okay with spoilers, but I don't know if I should spoil it for you. You want to put up you can put up the graphic.
Let me put up the spoiler.
If you have not seen Windy City Riot and you do not want to be spoiled, just
here is your alert.
Skip ahead for a little bit, or just come back later after you've watched it. And also, don't watch. Speaking of Strong Style, until you watch it, because they'll spoil it.
They'll be talking about it too. Here, let me.
Okay, so and if you're listening. Instead of watching the stream, we did just put up the spoiler alert. I am telling you just one more time, go ahead and turn this off or come back in a few minutes because I'm about to spoil some stuff from Windy City Riot. You've been warned. If you hear anything else, that's on you. I'm sorry. So Ishii beat Gabe Kidd and he won the title.
Oh, nice.
Yay. The match was really, really good. And Ishii is just incredible. And he ended up with a bloody nose.
Was that the Never title?
No, it was the... Wait. Is it one of the Never titles? Because Takeshita has the Never Open weight. Gabe had the New Japan Strong. He had the New Japan Strong title that he took from Eddie Kingston. Eddie got injured. That's what it was. It was the Strong title. Perfect. And so I was like, ooh. If Ishii is champion when Eddie comes back, I hope Eddie wrestles.
I'm here for that.
I want Eddie versus Ishii, so I was very excited. It was so funny when the crowd announced. So they got like 20 minutes in. Gabe Kidd gets the first fall. A couple minutes later, Ishii gets the second fall. Well, then they move into sudden death, and that crowd erupted when they said sudden death. And it was funny because I was posting about it on Blue Sky, and somebody said he was in the crowd and he was like, they were electric during that match. And he was like, everybody yelled and got on their feet when they said sudden death. And I was like, oh, it picked up on TV. Like, we could hear you, how excited you guys got, which understandably so, because the sudden death was super unexpected. It was really, really good. And you know my feelings on Gabe Kidd. But I really enjoyed the match. And as Nikki just said, I can't stand Gabe Kidd, but they made me pay attention to this match because I wanted to watch Ishii. Pretty much how I felt about it. Brad says that New Japan does not do Iron Man matches, and but because to ask Steven and Jeremy because he doesn't know the answer. And he says this is the right direction. He said they needed to get this off Gabe so he can move towards the global title. iMcBeat says that Gabe needs to move up because he's fantastic. It seems like that's what they're doing, is moving him up. Vinkin says because he went to double knockout with Tsuji, which means they have to run it back.
Oh, okay.
Yes. Oh, and I'm sorry. So because he said they need to get the title off Gabe. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
They also, so they did, so before that though, they did the women's match with, which was Azumi versus Mina Shirakawa. And the winner was the #1 contender for the strong women's title, which Mercedes has.
Mercedes.
And I couldn't figure out what they were going to do here because Azumi obviously just wrestled Mercedes or has wrestled, or I believe she's wrestled her for that title. And then Mina just wrestled her at Wrestle Dynasty and Mercedes won. The match was really good. I couldn't tell what they were doing. Then they ended it in a double count out.
Ooh.
And I was like, why? I mean, I knew what they were doing, but why? So later so I assumed, okay, this is going to be a triple threat for Resurgence. Later in the show, they did confirm will be a triple threat match at Resurgence, which is very interesting. I don't know what we're doing here. I don't know if Mercedes is going to retain or if she's going to drop it to, I was like, I mean, I guess Mina makes sense because Mina is with AEW now.
Mm-hmm.
And perhaps that's what they do. But Azumi obviously makes a ton of sense because it's Azumi. So I'm really not sure why they have made this a trios match. I mean, a 3-way. I'm sure it'll be a great match. It's just, yeah. Venkin makes a good point. They might want to avoid a backer situation with Azumi. Okay, that makes sense. I didn't think about that, but now that you say it, that makes more sense. Okay. Now I get it. Because I was like, so that's a really interesting thing. The match was really good though. And then what else did we watch? Unfortunately, we had to skip the tag match because I was like, I got to get these last 3 matches in so we can talk about it. And then for some reason we try to go into the tag match and then it showed us, because it was Teton and Naito versus, who the hell was it? Why did I just blank? It's because I didn't watch it. But anyway, they showed at the end and they showed us the end of the match. Teton and Naito were walking out because the match was ending. I was like, why did New Japan skip us ahead? I guess they just wanted to be like, look, Naito and Teton won. You don't need to watch it. Because it wasn't a title match or anything because Naito and Haramu dropped their titles to Jeff Cobb and Kellen Newman last week. So it was just a tag match.
Well, that's right. You told me that. Yeah.
And then I think it's also because Naito was in town Naito was doing C2E2 and apparently had a very long line, which is great for him. I saw somebody said they waited an hour and a half to meet.
I wouldn't be surprised at all.
That's how long his line was, which good for him. And I know some people met Tana. Phil Lindsay, I know there was a couple other people, but I know Phil Lindsay met Tana. He also met Naito because Tana also did an autograph signing yesterday.
Wow.
As well at the C2E2. Evil, I think, was there doing. I think Evil did too, or he's doing WrestleCon or something. Evil's doing an autograph signing at one of the two. Maybe it was WrestleCon, but so let's see. Oh, the tag match. There was a tag match for the titles. It was West Coast Wrecking Crew against Intergalactic Jet Setters.
Oh wow,
which was so good. It was a really, really good match, and I was like. And we found that, and then I don't know if you heard, Kevin Knight did an interview earlier this week with, why did I just blank on his name? We follow each other, and I just completely blanked on his name, and I am so sorry. But anyway, Kevin Knight said that not only when he signed with AEW, he also re-signed with New Japan. So
yeah, I heard that too.
Takeshita over here with his 3 contracts is setting the way because now Kevin is 2-contract Kevin. Nice. So he's going to be involved. He said he's not going to be going anywhere for a while. So
that's nice though.
Yay, more intergalactic jet setters because I love them.
Excellent. I feel so bad for you. Your poor allergies. I just want to hug you.
Sorry. My throat's driving me crazy.
No, I feel bad because I know I have a family
allergies and how much of it is because I still lose my voice when I talk sometimes too much because of from still having. So it's only
just
been
like stupid.
It's only been like 6 months since my surgery, and so sometimes I think the allergies definitely do compound.
Oh, it's going to be an adjustment. Yeah, I just feel for you so much because I'm living with someone who's struggling as hard as you, and I just want to be like, Flowers, can you stop? Flowers and trees, I love you, and I really do want you to
progenate.
I
hate it because like I want to be outside.
Can you not throw your sperm at us and your
yeah, please don't.
Please.
Keep it to yourself. Thanks.
It makes us grow. It makes us not feel good.
Yes.
It makes us feel icky. Makes our ears and noses and throats feel very bad.
Yes, it does. And then, so yeah, I forgot that he did say in that interview that he is in BOSJ.
Nice.
And then he's moving to the heavyweight and the G1, and that Kushida is joining him for tags in ROH and AEW. That makes me so happy. Great. I love Kushida so much. Kushida is one of my favorites. I love the Intergalactic Jet Setters. I am very excited for both of them. And then Brad said it's a 3-way so that Mercedes can lose the title without getting pinned. Yes, I could also see that being the case. And it says, Venkin says, keep her triple threat matches and don't show Mercedes likes to wrestle her. Yeah, don't show anybody. Don't do that. Well, that's what Mercedes even said. She was like, they were like, who was unsigned that you'd like to wrestle? And she's like, I can't say it because the other place will sign it. She's right. Mm-hmm. She's not lying. But yeah, so their tag match was really good. Then we watched Goto versus Shota. I did not pay as much attention to that as I should have. I was playing on my phone some, and every time I looked up, they were just kind of doing just routine things. I like Shota. I know he gets a lot of hate. I think a lot of it's undeserved, and I think that Shooter just needs time to grow into it. Look at how long it took David Finlay to get where he is, from being C Block champion to now being a threat for the title. It took us a lot. And then even just him jumping from taking Jay White's spot to where he is now, like that took us some time. So I am willing to give Shooter sometimes. I know some people have already just like, shoot, he's awful. He's never going to, this is the best. This is the word. He's already washed at 26 years old, which is an insane thing to say.
Calm down, guys.
Listen, let's look at Yoshihashi.
Right?
Yoshihashi was on the struggle bus for years. Something finally clicked, and he and Goto went out and just killed the tag team division for like 4 years. So like, I am not ready. I will not write off Shota yet. Maybe we back him away from some of these bigger matches and let him kind of reassess what he's doing. And I know that like Tsuji is moving faster than him, and you got Yuya Uemura is here too. He's got a lot to contend with. I think he can get there eventually. I think there's more patience is needed. At least I'm willing to give him more time. I'm not going to start shitting on him like I've unfortunately see a lot of people have done.
Yeah.
I am here for the Goto Revolution. I don't know how long that Goto Revolution will last, but I will take it as long as it's here. David Finlay and Zack Sabre Jr. had it was a non-type. Neither one of them have titles. That was a really great match, of course, because it's Zack and David, and they're just really good. Obviously, separately and together, they are really good rivals. That was a really good match, and then of course our main event was Tanahashi's last match on U.S. soil versus Takeshita, who is one of the best in the world, legitimately. And you have this story of Takeshita's very first match was when he was 19 years old, one of his first matches, or I think it was his very first match, was against Tana. Aww. Now he gives Tana his last match on U.S. soil, which is just a phenomenal story. I think if you guys know anything about us, you all know how much we love Tanahashi.
Go Ace.
He is the ace of the universe.
He is.
He is the ultimate baby face. He is the GOAT. He is the president. I love Tana. I know that it's time. It's obvious. If it were up to his brain, because he even said after his match, like he wants to wrestle forever, but he knows that he can't. And he spoke in English a little bit, which was really, you could tell it meant a lot to him. And he said, I retire next year. This is my last match here. He was getting a little emotional, of course, because he's Tanahashi. And it was just,
That's
the
awesome.
fans were chanting, thank you. Like, as soon as the match was over, the fans were chanting, thank you, Ace. Then they got a Tanahashi chant. All the baby faces came out of the locker room.
Aww.
You know, came out and gathered around. Takeshita did beat him, which I think we all knew was going to happen. It was a non-title match. It was not for Takeshita's title. It was a non-title. He did pass that torch to Takeshita. Takeshita got a little emotional when he went to pin him. It looked like he was, maybe it was just me, but it looked like he was fighting back tears when he went to pin him. And then after the match, he stood up and he kind of just gave he gave Tana a moment, and then he reached for his hand and kind of shook it. I don't know if he was trying to get him to his feet or was just, shaking his hand. And then while he was still laying down, he bowed at him and just, he backed down. And so when he's leaving, ELP kind of stares him down. And I saw a picture of it earlier and I thought ELP had challenged him, but he told him, he was like, get out of here. He was like, you don't need to be here right now. And they just kind of stared each other down, and the Takeshita left, but then he stopped and I want to say that he bowed again, and then he just left, and then they gave a few minutes for Tana, and it was really nice.
That's awesome.
I really loved him. I think that it was a nice moment for him. The match was pretty solid. Obviously, Tana is not the Tana that he used to be, but he can still make it work when he has to. Takeshita obviously is an excellent opponent for him. Takeshita's going to make him look good. Takeshita's going to, they made it so it looked really good. I really enjoyed it. I'm sure Tana was happy with that awesome. Being, for that to be his final match on U.S. soil. I really wish I could have been there. I have not. Tana is not, because when New Japan was coming to Charlotte, it was the strong show. So we weren't getting big name wrestlers. And then since they started bringing in the bigger name wrestlers, they haven't come back here. And so Tana is not somebody I have got to see wrestle before. And I hate that I will never get to see him. Most likely. I mean, it is the wrestling business. And so the retirements don't last. But also, I know that Tana is, if he were to come back, it would probably be in Japan anyway. It probably wouldn't even be in the U.S. if he were to have another match. But Nikki and I were talking about it last night, that we at least hope he comes back for signing because we want him.
Well. I mean, he is the president still, and so he could still be on the crew and he could still come around. I'm sure he's made a buttload of friends over the years around everywhere.
Right. Well, and he's got Rocky here, and Tony Khan seems to have a massive amount of respect for him.
Well, good, because he should.
So I wouldn't be surprised if they bring him to do something, even if it's obviously in a non-wrestling capacity. Like, should bring him to Starcast and let just invite him to Starcast and let us meet him there. Brad says, I was hoping for at least something with a heel turn with Shota at this show, and we just got a basic fine match and nothing more. Yeah, it was. It was fine. I mean, it wasn't bad, but it could have been better. Yes. I make beat said, I want more for Shota, and they keep setting him up to fail. Plus, other people could be getting those main event spots. Right. It is unfortunate how the booking is happening. If Shota wasn't in the main event, there wouldn't be as much focus on him and whatnot. Yes. Oh, 100%.
I do think there's a lot. I think that's true. And I was thinking that too, is that I do think that there's a lot from the very beginning. There's been a lot more pressure on Shota than a lot of your average young lions because it's because John Moxley
John Moxley gave him his stamp of approval, and that set him up at a higher expectations, and he hasn't met those yet. And so some people are writing him off, again, saying a 26-year-old is washed, which is an insane thing to say. And somebody that has talent, I think it's there. You just have to get him there. And yes, it's unfortunate. Suji has surpassed him. You've got they did that Three Musketeers thing, and they have all kind of surpassed Shooter, which is unfortunate, but that doesn't mean that Shooter is a lost cause. I think this is a combination of booking and him still trying to find his exact identity, because he still seems like it's almost like he needs to meet somebody to point him in the right direction. You know what I mean? Yeah, because he was kind of he was leaning into the stuff with John Moxley before the heel turn, and it just seemed like he couldn't quite figure out and I don't think he's still been able to figure out quite who he is yet. mean, he can take what he's learned from Mox and from other people, but he needs to form his own identity instead of being. And so I think that it's just going to take a little bit of time. I mean, look how much time it took David Finlay.
David Finlay, Gabe Kidd,
like you said, Yoshihashi.
Yoshihashi was like, he got a huge pop when he came to freaking Forbidden Door, and people were like, oh, everyone's here to play. They know what their job is. So, I mean, ELP has taken some time to be where he's at, even though he was very talented. He was very underrated. And Japan is a highly competitive. It's not the same as AEW or WWE. The level of competition is totally different.
Oh, I agree.
And the amount of pressure.
That's maybe where some people think, okay, Japan is cutthroat. The talent is here, and if you can't make it here, then how are you going to make it anywhere else? And so I guess that's where some people see that with Takeshi. I mean, with Shota, it's like, okay, well, if you can't do it now, like,
that's silly,
when are you? I can see that. So I hope there's patience with Shooter, and I hope that if
they can give Sonata as much time as they gave Sonata, they can definitely give Shooter, or Evil for that matter. They can certainly give Shota some time.
So I don't know what the hell he's doing.
I wanted to see, like, I was rooting for him to be champion.
Me too. I was too, and then that title reign was terrible.
Yeah, it really wasn't good. So if they can give Sonata the time, they can definitely give Shota the time.
He bounces from stable to stable and is just kind of getting by on his looks.
I think the larger, louder group of wrestling fans tend to be like very impatient versus the rest of us who understand there is an actual process involved in going from being a young lion to being a professional wrestler to being an actual superstar in the business. Like, you can't skip all the steps in the middle and just jump right to the top.
Yeah, exactly.
And if you do, you're not going to get all the stuff you need to maintain that. Because you haven't learned the things you need to really be a champion.
Right. Exactly. Especially when you do have the level of talent that New Japan has currently. And Brad did confirm they did set up ELP versus Takeshita for the May show. Oh, that's going to be so good. Fernando says that Gabe Kidd is becoming his favorite New Japan wrestler. Vinkin says, I mean, we better get a good Gabe Kidd G1 roast this year that ends with him brawling with someone. I mean, it doesn't take much to set him off. Fernando says New Japan has recovered nicely since losing all three of their biggest stars. And even Tana said last night, or at the end of the show, he was like, don't be sad that I'm leaving. Look around. And he's pointing, and he's like, look around at what is here. And he's pointing to all the people who are around the ring. And he's like, and they, commentary is like, I mean, yes, he won't be an in-ring competitor, but he's still the president. Like, he's going to be very much hands-on and involved in New Japan and what it's doing. And don't be sad because, like, look at what he's leaving. Look at who he's leaving it to. Like, it's going to be okay. Don't be sad that, that he's leaving. And Maria says New Japan is back. Yeah, New Japan has been putting on some really good shows for months. Yeah,
they have. They've been starting to really feel like in a new, but like the old New Japan, but in a new way. They are evolving. Yeah. They're back and they're evolving into the new like situation they're in with more competition and the fact that, I mean, my friend calls it the New Japan, the NJPW PC. So,
right.
He's like, the dojo is now.
Like Kevin Knight is the perfect example of that. Like I mean, yes, they were talking about how he was trained by Buddy Wayne, but then he went to the dojo and was trained by Shibata. And then you heard Jay say in that match, oh, you've been trained in the dojo because Jay knows that style. And so it comes through. And yeah, Vinkin says he's going to sit at ringside. He's just not going to wrestle. Right. It's not like he's not retiring he's just retiring from in-ring wrestling. He's not retiring from New Japan. He will.
You see Liger all the time.
Right. He will still be there. There was somebody cosplaying as Liger in the crowd at this show. They had somebody he was in full mask, ring attire, everything.
Credit.
He was out there. And Zach went over to him and Tana went over to him.
Nice.
So it was a really solid show. I would recommend it if you've got time. I know there's a shit ton of wrestling that's
some of it's the money too. I mean, right now is
I get
tricky.
it.
So it's like I can't pay it. I'll still watch it.
I understand. So if you can watch, because my friend the one that I split AEW shows with, he was like, "Are you getting this show?" He's like, "I'll go in half with you." So I was like, "Sure." So I ended up ordering it, and he did go in half with me.
Yeah, nice.
So it works out. Brad said that he wondered if that Liger was the same one who used to go to every ROH show. It might have been, because I haven't seen him at these New Japan shows before, so I wonder if he came just for Tana.
Oh, that'd be awesome.
Probably so, but yes. So I believe that we have come to the end of all of our topics and extra topics, which, as Maria said at one point, time flies when you're having fun, which is very true. Thank you for that. You guys have been great. Thank you for your questions and your comments, and thank you for the super chats that we got. We have not seen it yet, but this week is our logo will be on the Wrestling Wind Downs flyers for their networking event, and also happy birthday to them. I saw a low tweet today that Wrestling Wind Down is 6 years old today.
Oh, that's lovely.
Happy birthday to them, which they're going to be celebrating. They've got several events. If you are going to WrestleMania in Vegas, definitely go check out, or if you're going to be at the stuff around that. Low and they're going to be a Wrestling Wind Down is going to be, I think they're going to be at several different things. They've got a couple different events. They're going to be selling merch there, so definitely go check them out if you are in the area. Come if you watch some cool wrestling this week, come back next week and tell us what matches you watched and what shows you got to see and all that stuff. And if you watch WrestleMania, we can talk about that a little bit too, because I will be watching at least night one. I will probably watch night two, but it's also Easter, and I'm sure I'll be eating dinner with my mom and then probably taking a nap. So
spending time with your family. What?
Yes.
Touching grass, seeing humans. What?
Yes.
Sweet.
Vincent says, by the way, in case anyone's wondering, apparently Naito was baiting that Liger fan to jump the barricade, but security wasn't having it. At least that's what I heard. I mean, that was down on brand, but I that was the match that I had to skip because I was trying to get through everything, so I did not see that, but it would not surprise me.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, everyone. We really do appreciate you guys come hang out, and that you're even here early to guess my hat. I appreciate that. I think that's so cute.
And thank you to Jeff Hawkins for showing up just to troll about FTR. He had to keep that. You live rent free in his head, Sam, for all that time. So, who's the real winner here? That's what I'm saying. That's a fair point.
It's all about framing.
Yes. So if you, we know that Sunday is a holiday. So if you are unable to make it live, we totally get that. We will be here. I will be eating some Easter food at some point because my mom always cooks really good food. So, and then I'll probably take a nap, as I said, but we will be here. If you have to watch later, that's okay too. But definitely come back when you can. And thanks for hanging out with us. Make sure you follow us on here and on social media. And also I will, like I said, next Saturday, I will be doing the WrestleMania prediction show with our local establishment, which is where Colin's show is at. Nice. When I know more information about when that will air,
we'll share it.
I'll share it. If you would like to come watch that, and otherwise, have a good week.
Have a good week, everybody. If I can act. Oh, what?
Fernando asked if there will be a Mania post show. I believe that the Wrap will be doing a live show. I don't know if it's after nights 1 and 2. But I know that they will be. If you follow us and if you subscribe to YouTube and hit the little notification, it'll tell you. But we can also post it on our social media as well.
Yeah, we will.
So if you follow us on any of those, but Fernando, they definitely. I'm almost positive that they're going to be live after both shows.
Yeah, they usually do a thing where they do NXT and day one, and then a show, and then they usually do their regular time. Is what I think.
And then also Fight Game Media has a new post show called. The Scrum Show, and it is Jeremy Feinstone, and then I think they're gonna. I don't know if it's just him and Garrett, or if they're gonna have rotating.
I think it's those two, and then people from around the network, if we can show up. The Boom is on hiatus for a little bit, so they're going to be doing the Scrum show in the meantime, so that we are continuing to cover that. And I think Jeremy's kind of taking the lead on it, and we're going to have like. I mean, you might see one of us along the way one day if Mel's old ass can stay up. But, yeah.
So yeah, if it's not the rap themselves, then I think the post the Scrum show, I think we'll be doing it. So there will be something. I just don't know which one it'll be, but definitely we got you covered. We'll definitely make sure that there will be somebody here. Thank you so much, David.
Thank you, David.
But yes, so we will keep you posted on that. But if you follow us on social media, we'll definitely be posting it there. But of course, just if it's easier just to follow them, turn on your notification bell, you'll get an alert when they go live.
And we appreciate the subscription because it does help the network a lot.
For sure. Yes, it helps. Of course, it helps us, but it helps the entire network. And we have some really great, talented creators over here.
Really and if you need your fix on that New Japan stuff, check out Jeremy and Steven on Thursdays at 5:30 Eastern time.
And if you can also, I guess, go listen to Jeff Hawkins.
Oh yeah, I guess you can check out the Dynamite show
and Paul, and go to listen to them talk about FTR.
We love them for real. We are definitely being sarcastic, and I love that Jeff had to work that hard for that. So all right, everybody, have a great week. All right.